Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And then trustee Ty, please.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion's approved.
Great. With that, Miranda, would you lead us in our first action item of the night is the vacancy appointment and oath of office for Tierney.
Yes. So before you tonight is consideration of filling your vacancy through appointment. The Board of Trustees had decided that that's what you wanted to do. And so there was a release of applications or requests for applications that went out. And the only person that we had received an application from was Tierney Maris. And so tonight, the consideration really before you is, do you want to appoint her? And if so, we've already prepared an oath of office, which could occur tonight, and then she would be seated effective immediately. So.
Thank you. Any clarifying questions from the trustees about this name or this appointment? Hearing none, we'll go to public comment. We'll open up the folks in the room first. Anyone have any comments on the appointment, on this discussion about a vacancy appointment and an oath of office? Folks online, do you have any comments this evening regarding our first action item, the Board of Trustees vacancy appointment and oath of office and our applicant? Kathleen?
It looks like we had to mute all of the call-in users, so a reminder to press *6 if you want to speak.
Kathleen, call in or press *6 if you're already called in.
And Mayor Billy, maybe I could just note one thing I forgot to add is there is a resolution in the agenda packet for you to vote on prior to an oath of office.
Okay, Kathleen, I'm waiting for you to connect. We can't hear you if you're talking, so *6.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Kathleen Shipai, 30-year resident, 20-year business owner. I don't like how this was decided by appointment since we only ended up getting one applicant, and I'm questioning why the people who came in 4th, 5th, and 6th, or however many, I know there were 3 people that didn't make the board, how they weren't considered for this, and I just can't believe it. As a matter of fact, and I just got to read through Deb Deandra's public comment on this, and I agree with her 100%. You just had an election. 3 people got more votes than this appointment, and we were told it wasn't a for sure appointment. It was, well, we'll take applications. And because we had heard there was a number of people that wanted to be appointed, and then when it comes down to it, it's one person. So I'm against this appointment based on the fact that only one person applied, and the 3 who ran and didn't get the top 4 positions didn't make the board, didn't make the cut. So I don't think it's fair. It doesn't look good, and yeah, that's all I got to say, especially after you have somebody like Riley who comes back 3 or 4 times and runs and runs and runs and isn't considered, but this appointment will happen without any debate whatsoever. Okay, that's it. Nothing personal, by the way, against whoever it is that's being appointed. I don't know who you are. I didn't read through anything. I was offline because of loss of the internet and the electric all day and yesterday. So, nothing against the person being appointed. I just can't stand to see one person apply when we were told there was going to be numerous people apply. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. We were surprised that we didn't get more applications, including from the folks that ran in the last election. So. And you may very well get to know this appointee soon. Any other comments? If not, we'll bring it back to the board for motion and a discussion and a motion.
I'm just going to chime in really quick. I have to step out to go see Felix, and then, but I can just make my 2 cents that you have this appointment has my support. Thanks. I'll be back.
Thanks, Luke.
So yeah, Mayor Bailey, I also have a point to make in that actually when I came forward for appointment, the other candidate who had gotten the fourth or the next highest votes was Steve Cepek, and he actually applied during that round for appointment. And so I was actually going up against him and I believe 5 other individuals who had also came out for the appointment. And at that time, the board decided to go with me instead of who the folks, who the citizenry had voted for as the next highest votes. And I'm thankful for that. And even, you know, Steve during that time or during that appointment had, you know, kind of turned to me and said, in so many words, it, you know, it seems I would be willing to step down for you to take this role. And so I don't think it's always the person who has the next highest votes. And in fact, I am very disappointed and surprised that those individuals did not come out for this appointment. And I think that says something, that they, you know, that they didn't put their hat forward. But someone who was going to be a part of that process decided not to because of residency. And now she has come forward. And she also represents a demographic that isn't represented on our board, which is young couple, moved here recently, wants to be a part of the community, has some things to say, and so therefore she's here to say them. So I am in full support of this appointment.
Thanks, Nicole.
Hold on just a second.
Any other
Steve,
comments from trustees?
thank you. Yeah, sorry, somebody was not unmuted or was muted, not muted, whatever.
Thank you. Loud. Any other comments from
Just really,
trustees?
really appreciative of Tierney. Thank you for applying. Welcome to the show.
Yep, same here. You know, we gave people the opportunity to apply and you're the only one that applied. So cheers to you.
I move to approve
Yeah.
resolution 2024-24 appointing Tierney Morris to the BOT.
Let's freaking second that.
Second, freaking second even.
Freaking third it.
All right,
Casey?
I definitely got the second. So, trustee Miller?
I'm here,
Oh,
and
I'm
yes.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you're still here. Thank you. That worked out. Okay, trustee Ty?
Yes.
All right. Trustee Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Billy?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sterling?
Yes.
And trustee Corvalon?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I have to make a motion to approve the resolution now, right? Is that what I was told? Oh, by
Nope, we
doing that, you did
already
the
did it.
resolution. Okay, great. I didn't hear that part. Those words come out. Okay, good. Great. With that, we will move on to our second. We will ramp up the controversy tonight. So next, oh God. Yes, after we swear her in, we will be ramping up controversy.
It's reminding.
Well, welcome to the fire, Tierney.
Solemnly affirm
I, Tierney Maris, do solemnly affirm
that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado,
and the ordinances of the town of Nederland.
and the ordinances of the town of Nederland.
and that I will faithfully and to the best of my skill and ability
and that I will faithfully and to the best of my skill and ability
perform the duties of the office of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Nederland,
perform the duties of the office of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Nederland,
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Tierney.
With that, we'll move to our welcome Tierney. And just so you know, you hit the push button, the little green LED light is on and you really got to get your mouth near the microphone. Yeah, you can sit by Chris or Aaron.
People want to see you.
Actually, that'd be perfect. All right. All right. Thanks, everyone. With that, we'll move to our second action item of the evening, our short-term rental moratorium extension. Macy?
Just give me 1 second. Yes.
All right, I got it. You only give me 2 more times, so I got this. Okay, so tonight before you have the moratorium for short-term rentals. Just a reminder, at your last meeting, town staff brought a short-term rental ordinance before you. You had given some great feedback, but we need time to add that in. Your current moratorium is set to end on June 4th. And so in order to allow for that, we are asking that you do another temporary extension of the moratorium for an additional 60 days so that it will end on August 4th. The plan is that Macy Caligaris, town clerk, will bring you a draft ordinance with your recommended edits and some options for you to consider at your June 4th meeting. It gives you about 2 to 3 meetings to review and discuss, and then ideally vote before this moratorium ends. And so tonight before you, there is an ordinance 863, and there was a question on do you approve that or do you deny that? And just for clarification, if you deny it, when the moratorium ends, it would allow people to continue to apply for licenses. This is a moratorium on new applications. If people have applications that need renewal, they're still allowed to do so. It's just on anything new while you work on assessing things like how would the license structure work and what would then put a possible cap be.
Do we have any clarifying questions on this aim or Miranda or Macy?
This is what we had already discussed this previously, that we were going to have to do a second extension, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a discussion item, so now it's back as an action item. So no real changes from there. I just want to know if anyone has any clarification questions that have come up.
Maybe can I just ask one more thing as staff? It does need to pass as an emergency moratorium, so it does need 3/4 vote affirming the ordinance if you want to extend your moratorium.
Okay, and 3/4 of 7 is 5 1/4, so we need 6. We would need 6 votes.
Okay.
No clarifying questions? With that, we'll go to public comment. We'll go in the room first. Do any folks have any public comments on the STR moratorium extension? Hearing none, we'll go to the folks online. Does anyone have any comments on the short-term rental moratorium extension of 60 days?
Hello? Hello, can
Kathleen?
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Kathleen.
Okay, Kathleen Chip. I've been kicked offline again because of my internet service, so I apologize. Considering what was said at the last meeting, and the discussion that the commercially zoned STRs shouldn't be on the limit included in the limit because they are zoned for business. I don't think it's necessary to extend the moratorium to new applicants because I think it was, I don't know if the number was actually decided upon, but somewhere like 12 to 14 of the STRs currently were in the commercial zone. So I don't think that the moratorium extension is necessary. And if we really want to try to start making the town some money and the businesses making money off of tourists, who I'm suggesting that it's unnecessary. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. Any other public comments on the STR moratorium extension? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, Kathleen, your comment. One of the reasons why we need the extension is because the BOT requested some changes that were not a part of what was previously provided or proposed to us, and so that's why we need town staff needs some more time to straighten that out and get that all figured out.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Kathleen, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'd like to respond
Sure.
to that. One
Sure.
of the requests was that the commercially zoned buildings not be included in the residential STR count limit. So that's my point, which is if the plan was, which I thought I heard the board say, numerous people, that you shouldn't include the commercially zoned STRs in the limit. So I'm hearing that. I would only think that was going to be one of the changes. So Nicole, I appreciate that. And I'm just going to say that it is what it is. You guys said what you wanted. I'm expecting to see one of those changes since that's what the board wanted. So that was why my comment is what it is.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks.
Yep.
Mayor Billy, I move to approve Ordinance 863, extending a temporary moratorium on the submission, acceptance, processing, and approval of any license application for all short-term rentals and declaring an emergency and providing an immediate effective date.
Second.
We have a second from Trustee Larson.
Right.
Go ahead.
All right. Trustee Larson,
Yes.
Trustee Maris,
Yes.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sterling,
Yes.
Trustee Corvalon,
Yes.
and Mayor Billy.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. With that, we will move on to our third action item of the evening, the Teens Inc. Special Review Use Reconsideration and Right-of-Way Vacation Applicant Review.
All right. So just kind of a recap for anyone who hasn't been involved. On February 20th, Stephen LaFavor, who's the executive director of Teens Inc., presented a request for consideration of a special review use agreement, which would allow Teens Inc. to lease a town-owned property at 750 West 5th Street, which is Old Town Shop site, to construct a child's care facility. At that meeting, the board unanimously approved Ordinance 859, which authorized that SRU with a series of conditions. An ordinance goes into effect 30 days after the date of publication. The title of the ordinance was published on February 22nd, which would make the ordinance effective March 23rd. On March 22nd, a referendum petition was submitted to the town clerk, which requested the Board of Trustees reconsider Ordinance 859. On April 16th, the town clerk issued a statement of sufficiency and deemed that the referendum petition for Ordinance 859 was in fact sufficient. No protest petition was filed against that referendum, and that would have had to be filed by May 1st. So tonight before you, under Colorado Revised Statute 3111-105, the Board of Trustees needs to reconsider this ordinance. You will decide tonight if you want to repeal Ordinance 859, or if you'd like to submit the measure to the vote of the registered electors at a regular special election. If you want to repeal the special review use, you would do so by voting to approve Ordinance 861 that's in the packet. If you'd like to submit the measure to a vote, you would vote on Resolution 2421, which would hold a special election on July 30th, which is the earliest that we can hold that election. So that's kind of part one of what is before you. Part two of what is before you is that Teens Inc. had intended to come forward for a right-of-way vacation of a portion of Fifth Street. They're no longer eligible to do so because they have no kind of claim to the parcel, but there was conversation about whether the board would be interested in seeking that right-of-way vacation themselves, not specific to Teens Inc. or this proposal, but just to see if you wanted to add on part of to the Old Town Shop lot and extend the parcel boundaries, making it larger, in which case you would carry forward as an applicant. So as staff, we're just seeking to understand how you want to handle kind of that outlying right-of-way vacation. So there are two specific questions before you. First is, does the Board of Trustees want to repeal Ordinance 859 or submit the measure to a vote of the registered electors at a special election held on July 30th? And then part two is, does the Board of Trustees want to be the applicant on a right-of-way vacation request for a portion of Fifth Street? There are a series of motions in the packet. You do need to vote on all of them. And so if, say, you're going to vote, to repeal, you need to then vote against the resolution or vice versa. So you need to make sure you're voting on everything that is in these proposed motions.
So if we vote to repeal, then we,
That way
that
we
happens.
were-
Then we also have to
Correct.
vote to on an election
You would
separately.
vote to deny resolution 2024-21. That way we had a documentation of kind of where all of these items stand. So that is what is before you tonight. There is, again, of course, the ordinance and the resolution in the agenda packet, as well as public comments that have been received and consented to be in the packet.
Miranda, can I just ask a clarification? Denying ordinance 861 is effectively approving 2421.
Correct. You have to,
yeah.
sorry, you do have to take one action. So if you deny the ordinance, you're going to then recommend approval of the resolution,
Right. Okay.
or you can approve the ordinance and deny the resolution.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, there are no other alternatives. Those are your only two options tonight.
Thank you. Chris, you have something you want to say?
Thank you, Mayor Bailey. I just wanted to make a quick comment here because there have been a number of questions, as I'm now the only board member living in the Dyers neighborhood and as a neighbor to the proposed facility. I just wanted to state for the record that I don't have any personal, private, or financial interest in this matter, and I feel that I can be I can fairly consider the issues that are before us this evening and see no need to recuse myself from this discussion.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. With that, are there more clarifying questions for Miranda on all these decisions we have to make?
I do. This might be a really straightforward question, but I understand the way that the ordinance is written, or I guess the resolution. It's the majority of registered electors would have to vote in support. So if only 50 people voted and all 50 voted in support, that's still not the majority of registered electors. It's not how many people voted. It's based on the number of registered voters. Is that right?
It's an election. So
yeah.
The majority of the people who vote in the election,
Okay.
That's who wins.
Perfect.
Yes.
Great.
And only registered electors can vote.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's just a matter of how many vote and how they vote. Simple majority. Thanks.
Thank you.
More questions, clarifying questions. I had a question. I wondered why we talked through different dates and stuff. I'll just ask my question and then answer it out loud. I wondered why the election date was July 30th. I had in my head 60 days, and there's a possibility, which put it at the beginning of July. And then there's a lot of statutory and code that we have to adhere to. We can't be within 90 days of our election. Has to be at least 60 days after the end of the protest period. And we can't be within 32 days of a primary or any other kind of election. And there's a primary at the beginning of June. And so we at the end of 3 weeks in the
25th.
Yeah. So therefore, at least 32 days past that puts us to the first Tuesday, which is July 30th.
Thanks for clearing that up, Billy. That was a confusing thing to figure out.
Yeah, it is a lot of elections to keep track of.
Yeah,
Any other clarifying?
now I am actually stepping out, but I will be back hopefully in time for a vote on this one.
All right, thanks. Go Felix. All right. Any other clarifying questions? If not, we'll go to public comment. And so I just want to make a little request. So this subject, this has been in front of us at least 3 or 4 times now. We've heard a lot of great comments, and we appreciate them. We've had a lot of comments come in, email to us over the last few days, actually a couple weeks. Appreciate those. We've read those. Some of them are in the packet, not all, because some came in later today. So we would just ask, if you're going to make a public comment, you're welcome to say whatever you want, but really to build on what you wrote or to add something new would be more productive and effective at this point, I think, in that we do have more things going on tonight that will likely take up a lot of time as well. We're just trying to be time sensitive. Yeah. So with that, anyone in the room who has a public comment, you're welcome to give it. Just wanted to give you that little request. Annette.
My name is Annette Trufelt-Frank, and I live on Thunder Ridge, just outside of town, but I work at the food pantry here, and I'm on the Peak to Peak Housing and Human Services Alliance as the vice chair. My only comment is that with a small town, the tax base, the revenue that you have doesn't give you the ability to make the facilities you want to provide for your workforce. So you have to partner, and your asset is this land. And it would be great if you guys could collaborate to get these things done for our residents. Thanks.
Thanks, Annette. Appreciate it. Any other comments from in the room? Jonathan?
Jonathan Baumhover, 399 West 3rd Street. I would just like to publicly state that while my name was on this petition, I failed in my due diligence in asking the petitioner and was under the understanding it would be part of this previous election. That was the only reason I signed it, is because I believed that this town would wholeheartedly support Teens Inc. in this, and that this issue would be put to bed and not dragged before you all again. So I'd like to publicly put my support behind Teens Inc. and apologize for my lack of due diligence in signing that to Teens Inc. and anyone who used my name or my opinion to further their specific agenda. Thank you all for hearing this out. Thank you, Teens Inc. for your effort.
Thanks, Jonathan. Do we have more public comments from folks in the room? I didn't mean to shut down public comment with my request, so sorry about that. It wasn't my goal.
Well, it's true that this is Tanya. Many people on this board are pretty new. We've heard it a million times, but
well, it's
Luke and Ty, and they haven't. And I'm sorry, the Teeny. I'm sorry, I haven't learned yet, but yeah.
Well, that's a good point, Tanya. So, yeah, if you really feel like, if you realize that there's newer board members that haven't heard what you want to say, then please step up. After Stephen.
I'm Stephen Lefebvre. I'm Executive Director of Teens Inc., who is proposing this with our board of directors. And just want to clarify why we're doing this. And specifically, for those who aren't familiar with early childhood education, it's not a sustainable business model if you're looking to pay people decently and also provide unlimited childcare assistance and sliding scale. It just doesn't work. So that is the reason why a partnership is so critical. That's evidenced by other preschools throughout the county and the state. Eagles Nest had $1 a year lease, as well as received over $100,000 a year through different sources from the county to sustain that entity. Unfortunately, a nonprofit that doesn't have sound board of directors and governance, you can see what can happen when that happens, and was what happened with Eagles Nest. Collectively, Boulder County, the City of Boulder and the City of Longmont contribute over $500,000 a year to support early childhood education and care within those cities and counties. We're not asking for that ongoing support. We're asking for a one-time, partnership to, or an ongoing partnership to provide the land where we'll do all of the operations, all of the fundraising, and build the building. The Learning Center down in Longmont just received a $2 million donation to purchase land. That has not happened to us. That if it does, while we're in this process, we could revisit if we have a $2 million donation to purchase land and get us started. But that's not the case. Simply put, you can't do this type of care for the community on your own. You need donors, you need funders, and you need land. So that's why we're here. Regarding the right-of-way and the vacation of the road and combining it into the lot, for those that don't know, the plan with that is for Teens Inc. to build a trail on that road, plant native plants, keep our building off of the creek, but enhance that area, which right now is a road, and obviously the whole lot is a vacant lot. And then lastly, I'd like to say just the timing. Now's the time for Teens Inc. We have a board of directors that deliberated over this for over a year on what our role in this is, and they're ready to move forward, and that's why we came forward. 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now, that may not be the case. Right now, we're ready to go, and the board is ready to go. So I guess the best option for us is to put it for a vote. So that's what we're requesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Kayla?
Kayla Evans, 1250 Eldora Road. I'm going to say something in support of Teens Inc. and the Child Care Center. The most important thing, I think, asset to any town community is its people. And it has to start out with the little ones. Then we grow them bigger. Then we put them in the elementary school. Then we put them in the high school. And if they're lucky enough to go away to college and come back here and find a place to live, which is becoming more and more difficult all the time for our population in this community, we hope that's going to happen. But to give these kids a start that is as professional and as loving and caring as Karen Campbell and her crew have done for the past almost 30 years here is immeasurable. If you've never talked to Karen or seen what she's done with these kids, you're missing something. It is hard to find assets in our town that are more precious than these kids. So how do we deny something that is as basic as this? I don't know how many on the board here have kids, but if you don't, you should talk to people that do. Right now, I understand that there's a 20 to 30 people waiting list to get in the daycare in this community because we don't have the facilities to take care of the population that is coming into our town with the need that is there. So please be very careful in your deliberation on this and think about the investment in your future of your community by taking care of probably the most precious asset we have in this town. Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla. Marissa?
Hello, my name is Loris Albright Brown. I've spoken in front of you a few times about the same topic, and I want to recognize the don't repeat what you've already said, but I'm here to repeat what I've already said, to be honest. The ongoing conversation about this and the delay in the project is disheartening. Even though I understand from communicating with Stephen that there's only 2 places left for the project to go, I still feel it's important to express the concern about the illegitimacy of the petition, and that there were a lot of people in town who, after signing that petition, felt like they were taken advantage of, and that wasn't clearly communicated to them that the petition was only against the NELC expansion. And they were led to believe that it was against the overall expansion of Nederland, and that they probably would have signed differently. And that's why somebody came out tonight. So my greatest hope, if we weren't tied up in government rules, would be that that petition would be disregarded and the project would move forward as soon as possible because of the work that Stephen has put in. Funding, planning, the work of his entire team. There's more of an investment that has to be put in to keep the project moving forward as things continue to get delayed. However, if the only options are to squash it or move forward with a town vote, then obviously a town vote is the best choice. I do feel that it's important to express on behalf of my colleagues at the elementary school, families in my neighborhood, families that I've known in Nederland for a long time, that there are a lot of families that have used the services of childcare, need to use childcare services, or contribute to the greater Nederland community that unfortunately won't be part of that vote. And that's something to really think about moving forward with how this board operates, that you have the town limits, which I lived in Old Town for a long time. But a lot of the heart of the town and how this town functions has to do with people who live in the greater area. I did share the BVSD boundary map with the Board of Trustees this week to get a better sense of the school community that is part of the Nederland community. So you have students coming all the way from Pass Ward and in the other direction all the way out to Dory Lakes. So those are all the families that are busing and coming into Nederland for school. And those are all the families that feed into the K-12 schools. If we're not providing early childhood care for those families to keep them up here early, to then feed into the elementary and feed into the 6-12, it's hurting the entire school community. And it's also impacting community services as well. Previous meetings, a lot of people have spoke about how they want to live up here or they provide services up here like emergency personnel, but they don't have the care they need. So I hope that as a greater NED community, we can move forward and get this moving forward as fast as possible. Thank you, Stephen, for all your work you've done.
Thanks, Larissa. Just kind of a couple things. We are bound to government process in a statutory town with a referendum. That referendum was found sufficient. The only way to have thought that would have been to extend the process more with a protest. So that didn't happen. And yeah, I just would say regarding folks around town, voting for something like this, there's taxation without representation. There's representation without taxation. We can't do that. So yeah, they can be annexed and then. No, but I'm saying that would be the way for them to become electors. With that, I'd like to open up for more comments.
Hello, my name is Rab LaChance. I'm a member of the Sustainable Advisory Board and I live just outside the town of Nederland, stone's throw. My wife and I recently moved to the area. We've been in the area about a year and a half. 23922 Peak to Peak Highway. It's where we live now, previously on Ridge Road. As a young couple, I would like to extend the support that a lot of the other individuals that have come out tonight have also voiced for the livability of a community. Something like this really enhances what the community of Nederland can bring and offer for families that intend to build in the area and build community within the area. So if you're among the unlucky that commutes to Boulder and requires childcare in Boulder, but otherwise has to work in town, makes it very difficult to have a livable situation within Nederland. And I think that the proposal by Teens Inc. makes the town enhanced to a degree that it allows young families to consider the community livable. It makes that increased step. And I guess the Board of Trustees hasn't seen me come out tonight. I've been joining online every now and again, but this was one of the issues that brought me out tonight. So I'd like to, I understand the taxation without representation and the
Representation without taxation.
yes, and the other side of that as well. But yeah, would like to reiterate that the previous comment about the community of Nederland being more than the town limits is a valid one, despite an individual like myself would not be able to vote. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely don't want to discredit. Our community is not made up of our registered electors and their kids. So yeah, our community is much bigger. Thank you, Rab. Christy.
Hi there. My name's Christy Vendetti. I live at 299 West 5th in Nederland. I'm kind of a little embarrassed for our town that Stephen has to be out here again trying to provide an essential service to our community. And I'm hearing Larissa and people who live outside of the community saying they can't vote. And so this is what I have to say. When you pass this and it goes to a vote, we're going to organize the hell out of this community and we're going to get people to vote for it. Thank you for your time and your commitment.
Thanks, Christy.
Hello, I'm Ariel Gustafson, 384 Patricia Road in Rollinsville. I've spoken at all of these meetings. You're probably sick of hearing me talk about being a working mom who needs childcare. I have worked in town in Nederland supporting youth for the past 8 years, and it's really, really challenging to have a kid. There have been times where I haven't had childcare and felt like, am I gonna have to quit my job to make this happen? And currently we have a preschool, but that's only 2.5 and up. So parents are like really out for the first 2.5 years of their kid's life when they're on the waiting list and then hopefully getting into childcare at that point. I think our community would be behind this, and it is a necessary thing. Like, there are people all over the country struggling with this crisis, and our town is being handed a local solution with an organization that has responded to local problems and understands local needs. And I think communities across the country would beg for that. There's no financial implications on anybody from this community except for the land. I think it's absurd not to put it to a vote, and I really hope that that happens. I thank you for everything, and I agree with Christy that the people will come out and vote for it because we will organize and make sure that the real information is out there and people know what they're voting for. So thank you.
Thanks, Ariel. Any more public comment from folks in the room? Hearing none. Oh, yep. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Shanna and I live off of Magnolia, and I'm on the board of Teens Inc. and have also spoken at all of these meetings. And I very much appreciated what Christy said, that it is sad that we're in this situation and we have a willing organization ready to move forward with the basic need. And I do support this going to a vote, but it is also sad to hear that a small group of people signing a petition, some of which, as we heard, didn't really know what they were signing or were maybe misguided. So what in the future, if this doesn't go to a vote and this, has already delayed the potential fundraising and building and all of that and the timeline for Teens Inc., what's sort of the precedent that this sets, that a small group of people can kind of derail something that had already had so much momentum and so much support? And, this derailment does impact the funding seeking for the project overall too. So I fully support this going to a vote, and also just how does this not happen for other issues that have nothing to do with childcare? Thank you.
I think we can expect it to happen. More public comment? With that, we'll go to folks online. I see Melody, you've had your hand up for a while. If you want to go ahead, now's your time.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, Melody Baumhover, Nederland resident. Childcare is a dire need in this community, and as others have pointed to, it does affect the whole fabric of our community when we don't have it. As a mom, where do I find childcare is one of the most often asked questions in the Ned Mamas group, and an often discussed topic at the carousel amongst our local patrons. Partnering with Teens Inc. is an amazing opportunity to get this childcare, as it costs a lot, and they have the capability and the proven track record to get it done. So I'm in full support of the Teens Inc. daycare, and in a special election, I'll be voting yes for it. Regarding the right of way, I think all of the ideas we've talked about this concerning that parcel would probably call for that anyway. So it seems like we should move forward with that as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Melody. Appreciate it. More comments from folks online? Raise your hand or just start talking.
May.
May Gerald, go ahead when you're ready.
Hi, everybody. I do live in Dyers. I live in town. And really, I must say that the level of vitriol against people who oppose this monster project is disappointing. Y'all are supposed to be in charge of your children. I've taken responsibility for mine. I mean, we hear from people are sad, embarrassed that Stephen has to keep coming back. We've been coming to meetings in this neighborhood for decades, and never once has the town had even a discussion on the board level or the planning committee level of what would be the best use of this land. We did have the resolution for housing, but we already know that when the board passes something, it can be like the flight of a monarch butterfly, it doesn't last, the life doesn't last very long of your decisions. My question is why this has to be so big. Stephen LeFave says he talks with the neighbors, he's trying to negotiate this and that with the neighbors. None of us have been a part of that. We want to know, why does it have to be so big? It's a regional thing. That's what everybody says. We recognize we need a regional system. I don't personally believe it has to be one great big building. I would like a straight answer from Stephen LeFave and from the town staff of what this building footprint would be. I don't think we've ever gotten a straight answer on that. As far as, well, the road is going to be taken over no matter what we do, that was not part of the housing initiative that was proposed. With natural disasters being what they are, you guys are being foolish to take this opportunity to do something in terms of flood mitigation, or at least not make it worse for downstream people. So I gotta say, people feeling really good about trashing other people because they want an apple pie that's 100 feet long. I'm sorry you feel that way. And if you want to work together, let's start by examining options for a regional system of childcare and not try to cram it all down along the creek. The other thing is the pathway, the 6-foot fence, you do the math. You're going to want to walk on that. Thank you.
Thanks, May. More comments? I think Mandy Papich, your hand's up.
Yes, this is Mandy Papich. I live on 3rd Street, and I also just want to bring out the point that I attended one of the other meetings as well, and I also believe we definitely need childcare. I prefaced that in my last comment. I definitely believe that we should have something in town somewhere. I just don't agree with the location. And I feel like a lot of the people that spoke against this project, you know, they were just kind of interpreted as we just hate children. And that's really not what's happening here. I definitely believe we need child care, but I don't believe that it should go in that location. I have major concerns with it going in that location, and I continue to have those concerns. So I just want to make that clear that we're not against mothers and we're not against children. I'm a female, so you know I certainly can appreciate being, you know, having all the mothers in town. So I just want that point to be considered. Thank you.
Thanks, Mandy. Trevor, see your hands up.
Yeah, Trevor Nelson, 221 Nightshade Drive. I don't know what else really in the world has a 3-year wait list. Having a child is stressful enough, and you shouldn't have to think about where they're going to go to pre-K the day they're born. You mentioned you didn't want to hear everyone repeating themselves. All we've heard from the opposition is not in their backyard. So, where is it going to be? And what else has a 3-year wait list when you're in the midst of having a child? You can't even prepare food. You know, people have meal shares and different things like, it's pretty unbelievable that we're in this situation, that we're still back here again, and that people in this town can't figure it out whether it's important or not important. That's not the deal. The deal is that it's necessary and it needs to be done.
Thanks, Trevor. Any other folks? I don't at the moment see any hands up, but any other folks? Oh, okay.
Or Ray, sorry.
Hi, my name is Ray Vita. I live in the Big Springs neighborhood now with my partner for 5 years, and we're actually expecting our first child this summer. And just wanted to voice our support for Teens Inc. because we are in that situation where our kid isn't even born yet, and we are trying to figure out how to get on a wait list. So I want to thank the folks at Teens Inc. for all their hard work and voice our support for them. Thanks.
Thanks, Ray. More comments from folks online? Don't see any hands raised, but feel free to speak up. Hearing none and seeing none, I will bring it back to the board for discussion and some motions.
Mayor Billy, I have something I'd like to say.
Go for it.
So it's my position that I haven't.
Just
Hello.
you one sec. Yeah. Go ahead. Whoever's saying
Hello?
hello. Yeah, go ahead.
I've been trying to unmute. It wasn't unmuting, I guess.
No.
Kathleen Chipai. This is a land use zoning issue and size issue. The town government is not responsible for providing any child care for residents or non-residents. When you sign a petition, you're signing confirmation you read the referendum and you agree with it. Any signer or non-signer could have protested their own signature and they did not. The size of the project, this could be done in a house because we've confirmed that 6 of the people waiting or hoping for daycare to be provided by the rest of Netherlands residents are Netherlands residents, and the rest are out of town. Okay, so and when I hear people say the sad situation is a referendum, and it's what Americans call democracy in action. the laws that provide for a referendum are there to protect the minority. And all residents are impacted when public land is given away for 99 years. People asking that the petition be discarded, saying you're ashamed or embarrassed because you've attended 4 Nederland meetings in your lifetime, or you find this unbelievable that you're not getting resident provided subsidized daycare. You sound entitled. I want to second everything May Gerald said, and the person who said that we're not child haters. We're not child haters. This is discussion of public land use for 99 years. And a referendum and the petition, my God, is part of democracy. So when I hear the comments I heard tonight about this democracy that we're trying to live in and under in our little town, it frightens me, okay? Because I'll tell you, it's not a democracy. It's authoritarian Marxism, communism, when you expect the government to provide you your daycare. It's not unbelievable, because until this day, government still doesn't say anywhere in any document that government provides daycare. My God, I'm frightened from what I heard tonight, and that is more than new public comment. I'm shocked at what I heard. We've confirmed 6 children in Nederland that are residents need daycare. We can fit that in a house. Teens can fit that in a house already built right now. Don't need, I heard it was 6,000, then it was 8,000. Now I've heard 11,000 and 14,000 square foot. And we're talking about the Nederland residents, the Nederland taxpayers paying for everybody and their brother that wants to reproduce from the peak-to-peak area, because that's what it seems like you're setting up to house. We have 6 children in Nederland, and this youth, 99 years. 99 years the residents will lose this piece of land. Not the government's job. And some of you need a civics class.
Thanks. I think the state has a universal preschool they passed, so it does seem like the state's made some movement in this direction too. So thank you. More comments from folks online? With that, we'll Nicole. Actually, Jamie. Someone is going to give a comment who's here in the room. Just come on.
I see. Okay.
Make sure the little green light's on.
It's on. Okay. So I am a community member. No, I do not live in town. Jamie Curry. And I don't live in town, but I did live in town, but my address still reads Nederland, Colorado. We are members of this community and have been for 10 years. I work at Nederland Elementary School, which is provided by the county and the state, and we serve not just the kids in Nederland, or our school wouldn't exist, right? We serve a huge community of children, and we bring them all there. And this preschool is intended to do the same, because our community isn't just town limits. Now, should town limits maybe be extended so we can all contribute to the tax money? Maybe, right? But we're not in control of that. But what we are in control of is helping our community have somewhere to send their children before the community just dissipates. These kids need somewhere to go. They need somewhere to be a part of. And the parents who live up here and the families who live up here really like it and want to stay. But at some point, they can't if they can't have anywhere to send their children. So I understand that that's your neighborhood for all of those that live there. But at the same time, it's not your land and it doesn't belong to you. And it has been approved to go forward with this. And I get and I understand that everything you said comes from your heart and you really believe that, whoever was talking recently. But the rest of us also have a passion to make our children have a safe place to be up here so we don't have to commute or abandon this community for the sake of lots of different reasons. So I just feel really disappointed that something that was going so well has been halted, and I hope that it doesn't just go to the town of Nederland to make the decision, because so many of the students who go there and the people that they help live outside of the boundaries, which aren't our fault. You know, like we came to live here and there's only so much housing provided in the town and we all are a part of it. And we're happy to contribute in any way we can. And we're not asking anybody to pay for it out of your money. So that's really all I have to say, is that I hope that people see that it's a larger issue. It's going to help the longevity of this town and this community. And it's really for the kids and it's not about anything personal.
Thanks, Jamie.
Billy, can I take a turn? This is April.
Yes, April, you can.
Hi, April. I'm in the Dyer community. I just wanted to speak to anyone who thinks that our efforts were not valid. There were many people who went out and walked hours and hours and spent so much time not only not knowing what we were going to run into. We talked with supporters of Teens Inc. We talked with people who were unaware that anything was happening and that they were appalled that their public land was given away and they didn't know about it. We spoke with several past BOT members who were also appalled. In fact, many of them signed. A couple of people took the thing right out of my hand and said, I'm signing that thing. So, you know, you think that you are in a position of, oh, we won. Like I kept hearing that wherever I went, just overhearing. I heard you won. Congratulations, I heard you won. You underestimated the power and the passion that we have for our community. Someone asked me that didn't want to sign the petition, they said, if they had come to you with a smaller footprint, if they had come to you with something that was more reasonable, what would you have done then? And I said, probably nothing, because it didn't seem like it would have been so invasive. But we're talking about a building that keeps growing. I don't know who said it, but every time we turn around, it's another square foot or 2,000 square foot bigger. I don't even know what we can count on anymore. I'm afraid to just sign it away and say, okay, yeah, go ahead, because I don't know. I don't know what the real deal is. No one's communicating with us. So just so you are very clear on this point, we did communicate to people, and I'm sorry, our petition, our rules, we get to say which points we want to say first. And we did go through all the points. We kept pointing at the sentence on the front of the, what is it called? The little statement that said, you know, this is what this petition is. And we're like, we want you to know what you're signing. So people, they do know what they were signing. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, April. Any more comments from folks online? Teresa?
Wait, someone's
Hi, it's Teresa Robertson, 140 East First Street, 25-year Nederland resident. And I want to make 3 quick points. 1, if we lose childcare and we lose kids, we lose the pipeline to the schools, and then this just becomes a dead town. We need to have youth. 2, I've lived down the street from Teens Inc. pretty much most of the time I've had my home. Teens Inc. has been there. Teens Inc. has been an amazing neighbor. Anytime there are any kind of problems with the youth waiting early, there was maybe some stuff. They're a really great neighbor and they work together. 3, the
Teresa, we can't hear you.
it is
Maybe
if you're in there.
fix something on your end.
Oh, is it better now?
Yeah.
You
maybe
can't hear me at
cooler now.
all?
Yes. Now we can hear you.
Okay, where did you lose me? Teens
10
Inc. is a
seconds
great
ago.
neighbor.
No, just Teresa, your third point. Go ahead and state your third point.
That if you build housing there, the neighbors are going to have a lot more noise, a lot more congestion, lot more traffic. You got a daycare center. It's going to be Monday through Friday, most likely, and business hours. So I think those are all things for the new members to consider. I'm in favor of having this childcare facility. Thank you. I'm done.
Thanks, Teresa. Any more comments from folks in the room or online?
Sure, Billy, I'll take a shot.
Sure.
John Allen from Dyer's neighborhood. I don't need the full 3 minutes. I'll just make this short. Teresa, the previous caller, you're wrong. A housing addition in our neighborhood is what everybody wants. We don't want a 10,000 square foot commercial building with 120 cars a day coming through our quiet little neighborhood. We don't want that. But this isn't about that. This is about daycare, right? We're all in support of daycare. Nobody here hates children. Nobody here is scheming to prevent this, childcare from happening. But Stephen and his crew have attacked our neighborhood. They felt as though, without getting our buy-in, that they could just come in and push their way around and make this silent agreement. I can tell you, as someone that carried one of the petitions, no one was misled. I guarantee that, regardless of the misinformation, the disinformation that you're hearing on social media. It's garbage, guys. Toss it aside. Close your Facebook account. That's not true. Everybody had a fair opportunity. We met with so many people, so many wonderful people, and we met on people on both sides. And we had this conversation and thoroughly explained and asked everybody to express their views on this. We didn't coerce anybody. This is democracy, guys. 85 people signed this petition because democracy wasn't occurring. And you know what? Most of the people that signed had never heard of this, that this was occurring. They never heard that Nederland was on the verge of giving away free land to a nonprofit that has a $5 million operating budget a year. Nobody knew that. Well, most people didn't know that, I should say, to be honest. So I think we can all work together, but I think there's other options here, and there are other locations that are going to work much better than the Dyer neighborhood. So, I wish everybody well. I don't have any ill feelings about this, but you have to understand that there are people with different opinions. And as I respect your opinions, I would ask that you respect ours. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Any more comments, folks? Jonathan? Wait. Did he give one already? Oh, yeah, you gave one already. Yep, okay. I'll go with that.
I'll give you a minute and a half. To this board, I would like to appreciate all the public comments given tonight. And I'd also like to point out that arguments are being made by both sides that democracy didn't happen, when in fact, both sides are correct. Democracy did happen. We live in a representative democracy. The previous BOT made a decision based upon their representative power as elected individuals. A minority chose to challenge that. They did their due diligence. They got the signatures signed. Tonight, I heard Stephen recommend, as the individual bring this project before you, you put it to a vote. We have heard community members from outside that feel like they don't have a vote, that they feel disenfranchised. Unfortunately, Billy, you're right. There would be representation without taxation. I believe that clear direct path for this board is to allow this to go to a vote, to put it to bed that democracy didn't happen on either end, and to accept this actually is democracy. And for the folks that live outside of the town of Nederland community, to allow this vote to happen and then reflect very clearly and closely on their personal choice to live in a community based upon that vote. Because that vote is the only way that this is actually going to come to a head. And then people can make choices about, do they really want to raise their family here? Thank you for your time and your consideration on this very difficult topic.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it.
Lindsay has her hand raised, and then May Gerald has her hand raised again.
May you did use your 3 minutes, but Lindsay, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. I just had a question about if it's sent to a vote, does that give the Board of Trustees the opportunity to renegotiate the lease? So if it's approved, is there an opportunity to try to make sure that we're getting a fair deal for our taxpayers by some kind of lease? Just hoping that that's an option.
Yes, and in fact, that's something I was going to clarify. This is simply to decide on the land use issue and whether or not to uphold or deny the SRU. But you're absolutely right, Lindsay. There would be an opportunity to negotiate that price tag. There's been a lot of circulation that it's only $1 for 99 years, and that is something up for debate. So thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if that was a part of the ordinance itself and kind of written in stone that that was it, but I'm glad to hear that it's negotiable.
Yep, 100%.
All right, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lindsay. May, you did speak for 3 minutes. Jonathan unconventionally broke his up into 2 pieces, but he kept it under 3 minutes. So, any other comments?
Well, Billy, this is May. I have like a 1-minute comment. I wanted to respond to what.
No, we're not going to do this.
Yeah, we don't want to have a discussion. I get it, Nicole. Thank you.
Hey.
Oh, that was Tanya. That wasn't Nicole.
Apology accepted, May. That was not me.
Sorry.
Me.
We have another.
I would have expected Nicole. Okay. Tanya.
Okay. I think we're good.
Gotcha.
I think we're good. We do have one more fellow who wants to give us a comment. He's here in the room. Alder, you want to tell us what you're thinking?
You can do it.
Go ahead, buddy. You got it.
You want to tell us what you wanted to say?
He said, we need your help for our school. So what? Tell it.
My brother has somewhere so I can go.
Yeah. And my baby.
And my baby.
That's right. Thanks, Alder. That was Alder Curry. Thanks, everyone. I still don't see any other comments. So with that, we'll bring it back to Nicole. Did you want to start things out?
Yes. I want to, thank folks for their public comments and some of the things that were said. Kathleen, you had mentioned that, yes, this is a land use issue and there was a referendum, and that is absolutely 100% within the people's right to do that. And so just want to acknowledge that is the case. And that, though what Lindsay brought up is the $1 for 99 years, that seems to be a contentious point for a lot of folks, as it's a giveaway. That point is still 100% negotiable. So just want to reiterate that again and again and again. Ultimately, up to this point, my stance is that we haven't heard good enough reasons to not just uphold this SRU. There are the environmental concerns that have been brought up about the creek, but I don't think the child care facility and the health of the creek are mutually exclusive. And in fact, this was, when this came as a discussion item before SAB said, well, we will weigh in when we see the actual plans and to review, so that we can review the issue and provide our comments. It was too premature to say anything at that point. But they are 100% committed to be able to comment on that when it comes before them. But again, the take even then was, these don't seem to be two mutually exclusive things, the creek and the child care facility. I'll also point out that across the country, because this is something I've been paying attention to for the last 6-8 months, how long we've had this in front of us, is that across the country, schools are in residential zones and areas all over the place. It is just, it's a residential zone and there's a school right plucked smack in the middle. And I know we're small, and so those things feel a lot more bigger. But also in answer to, well, the previous board made a resolution to make that affordable housing. I understand. And we have an opportunity presented to us. And, the affordable housing piece, we will also continue to work at and figure out. But right now we have an opportunity before us. And so I'm going to vote in support of putting this to a public vote.
Thanks, Nicole. Other trustees? What are you thinking?
I think we've heard pretty clearly this should go to a vote. Same here.
Yeah. Vote.
All right, Mayor Billy, I'd like to move to deny ordinance 861.
Second.
We got a motion and a second from trustee Miller. Any more discussion on this particular motion? If not, Macy?
Trustee Ty.
Yes.
Trustee Maris.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Larson.
Yes.
Mayor Billy.
Yes.
Trustee Corvalon.
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Sterling.
Yes.
Thank you.
I now move to approve resolution 2024-21 referring ordinance 859 to a special election, calling a special election on July 30th, 2024 to be conducted as a mail ballot election and fixing the ballot title.
Second.
Again, we have a second from trustee Miller. Any more discussion from the trustees? If not, Macy, when you're ready.
Mayor Billy.
Yes.
Trustee Larson.
Yes.
Trustee Corvalon.
Yes.
Trustee Ty.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sterling.
100% yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
And Trustee Maris.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate those motions and votes. And so those motions passed, denial and then an approval. So the denial of the repeal and the approval of a vote, popular vote. So we have one more item, the right-of-way vacation application. What discussion with folks?
I have a question on that one.
Yes.
So currently there is no official access in between the town shop site and the trailer park, even though people drive through there as though there were a street, there is not. And so close it, including Fifth Street as part of the town lot would make the only access to that neighborhood via Fourth Street. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Doesn't Fourth go between the trailer park and the?
Fourth goes between trailer park
But-
and Tom's house.
Perhaps I can maybe just clarify, just that you could still provide kind of road access. I think it's just extending the boundary size of the Old Town Shop lot if there was interest in the town wanting to do that as their own applicant.
Sorry, Des, go ahead.
Well, what's the point of extending the lot if we're going to keep the road there?
You can, so if you even just look at the property, you could even go up a little bit further to Fifth Street. You don't have to grab all of Fifth Street. There's a lot of options on the table. And we would come back to you with a resolution with further clarification on exactly how you would want your application to be formatted. I think there's just options here, and we just, knowing that an application dropped off, but this is really your parcel to begin with, I think we're just looking for guidance more than anything.
Matt, I lean strongly towards applying, having the town be the applicants for this, because whether it's childcare, housing, or a park, that real estate would come in handy to just fold into it. I mean, the through roads come through Fourth and Third, and they go straight to the highway. Fifth is, the John Allen had brought up months ago that, did they need Fifth Street to turn the fire engines around? And the NFPD said they don't. it's being used to pile snow or something like that, but
Right, and we as staff had no concerns with the vacation of the right away because it's not, there's no use to confirm with streets and other people. Yeah, I mean, I think why we're bringing this forward is regardless of how you develop it, this is an add of square footage to a parcel. So it's your land. So as staff, we are encouraging you to maybe consider running this forward, and your use is not tied to a use. It's tied to just purely extending the square footage of this parcel.
Miranda, I have a question. This is Tanya. If Teens doesn't win the election because they have a plan to make it a trail and revegetate the road, and a developer comes and has affordable housing, would they then be able to just extend the housing throughout that entire land, or would we still have some say in how it's used?
Yeah, I mean, all of your housing now under your new use group table is special review use. So you would negotiate that out with any developer about how that northern side of that parcel would be developed. And if you
Oh, it's not a done deal that they could just
Correct.
build all the way to the
Correct. I mean, it
we-
just
we
gives
could-
you a larger footprint to decide how you want to utilize it.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
And we would seek a clarification if you want to move forward under the kind of the resolution next time of how much of this, currently Teens was seeking to kind of grab the whole parcel, and the whole part of Fifth Street, but leave, of course, the access points from Griffiths and Polson. We would seek clarification on if you're still interested in kind of grabbing the whole thing, or if you'd like to do something different. What I would also say is we'd need to go back to Jeanette Smith. Jeanette Smith did say she didn't want the other, if you do a right-of-way vacation, the adjoining parcel can benefit. She was willing to waive that for Teens. We're not sure if she would want to continue to waive that if it's just the town seeking to expand. If that were the case and she didn't want to, she could then benefit from half the parcel that is being vacated.
And that would be during the special review use that would get discussed.
So you'd actually have a right-of-way vacation hearing going before the Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
I really feel like we're at just a point of discussion and motive or motion.
I move to approve the town applying for a right-of-way vacation of a portion of Fifth Street.
Second, Trustee Miller. Discussion, Macy?
All right. Trustee Corvalon?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Maris?
Yes.
Trustee Ty?
He's not here at the moment.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was not picking up. Mayor Pro Tem Sterling?
Yes.
Mayor Billy?
Yes.
And Trustee Larson?
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll note for the record that Trustee Ty was not present for this vote.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So that third motion passes as well. With that, I am going to say we're going to take a break and solid 5 minutes and come back at 8:45. Miranda, everybody, trustees, Tanya, Nicole. So we now move on to our fourth action item of the evening, which is an action item to repeal the rights of nature resolutions, right? Resolutions, plural. We filed our diligence application at the end of February as scheduled and on time in the Colorado Water Corp for the town's Nederland Reservoir water right. And under Colorado law, the town is legally required to file this diligence application in Colorado Water Court every 6 years to preserve the conditional water right while the town pursues the development of our water right. The Nederland Reservoir water right is critical to the town because that water right provides the town a reliable upstream physical water supply, whereas the town currently relies on legal water rights that are stored downstream at Barker Meadow Reservoir owned by the City of Boulder. The City of Boulder allows for the storage in Barker Meadow Reservoir pursuant to a lease agreement with City of Boulder. In addition, the town is beholden to whatever quantity and quality of water flows past its upstream intake to provide the actual physical treated water to the town's residents and businesses, etc. And the intake is located just above town, right next to the high school, middle school, high school. I'm wondering if this is a good time. There's more stuff I want to say, but or just need to read through the aim, but I think this might be a good time. Aaron.
Happy to jump in. And good evening.
You got to get real close to this so you can hear an echo. That means the folks online can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Board, members of the public. My name is Aaron Ladd. I'm the town's water lawyer with the firm of Branch and Reich, and I'm here to provide some, I think, water rights context before we dive into this. I think that might be helpful for some and some of the history. I've been representing the town of Nederland for a decade now, since about 2013. My firm's represented Nederland back to the 1970s and the first modern water rights filings for the town. And those are the water rights that the town still relies on. The town's water supply has come a long way since then, starting out, if you'll believe it, as water mains made out of hollowed out logs that they needed to run water through continuously through the winter so that they wouldn't freeze. And of course, at a much simpler water treatment and wastewater treatment processes. In the past decades, the town's overhauled its water distribution system, its water treatment plant, and its wastewater plant. The wastewater treatment plant we have today replaced sewage treatment lagoons, greatly improving water quality that's released back to the stream and reducing evaporation. I think that was a very important step. When you turn on a faucet in the town, the clean water that's delivered is the product of careful advanced planning that the town boards before us undertook, and also the hard work of the town of Nederland's dedicated utility staff. Before that water gets to you, it's first delivered by the town, diverted by the town from the Middle Boulder Creek, just downstream of Nederland Middle and High School, and then treated and distributed. The most real and chronic threat that the town has been facing with its water supply is very low flows in the winter months. Those low flows interfere with the town's operators getting enough water into the town's intakes to avoid shutting water off. And, if we had to shut off water, that would mean be a major problem. That's the kind of thing that keeps the board up at night, utilities operators up at night. It keeps me up at night. Another threat scenario I worry about is more acute and less predictable. I think some heard of the struggles of Fort Collins after the Cameron Peak fire, with runoff collecting ash from that fire and flows in the Poudre becoming untreatable by the city of Fort Collins. Another example, another sort of acute threat is something like the Gold King mine releases that polluted the Animas River through Durango. Those are acute events that interfere with the town's ability to divert treatable and deliverable water to the town. And so, these are the drought and pollution events, the types of events that I've been talking with this board and past boards about. How do we address as part of a portfolio approach for the community of Nederland? Today, the town doesn't have good security against these events to protect the town's water supplies. Storage in downstream Barker Meadow Reservoir does not help the town in these scenarios. Conservation, of course, would be part of any response, but it's not a complete solution. You can't conserve down to zero unless you're forced to. This is where the concept of Nederland reservoirs come in. The town of Nederland can develop, if the town of Nederland can develop some upstream storage and design it right, it can have physical water ready upstream to respond to drought or these other scenarios. May also provide flexibility to provide environmental benefits such as extra flows or channel connectivity when that would benefit the stream. So the concept of Nederland reservoir is really tied to water security, more so than growth has been suggested by some here recently. I also want to just say Nederland reservoir is not a new concept. Nederland reservoir has been part of the town's plans all along. It's not a mega dam. We're talking about 100 acre feet here. Some articles about this topic that came out recently showed pictures of Barker Meadow Reservoir as an example reservoir, and we're talking about a reservoir less than 1% of the size of Barker Meadow Reservoir. So just to give you a sense of the scope. And the town has made real strides in developing this project in the past years, and I think can more than satisfy its burdens in water court. But I also want the community to know that it's not a fully designed and shovel-ready reservoir either. So there's more work to be done and a lot more discussion. Town will have to continue to evaluate the best way to develop a project for the community. And of course, we'll take the environment into consideration at every step. I've worked with a lot of communities and water users over the years, and I just want to say I'm proud of the town's representatives and on this board for doing the hard work to dig in and understand water rights as a complex issue and water supply planning in order to tackle these issues for the town. None of this really answers the question before the board today of whether to appeal rights of natures and guardians resolutions. As you know, Save the World's Rivers filed a statement of opposition in the town's water court case, the diligence for Nederland Reservoir. They have the right to do so, albeit subject to some limitations since they do not have water rights of their own to protect in the stream. Nevertheless, their opposition does create new risk and new expense for the town in prosecuting its water rights application. Because Nederland Reservoir, the water right is subject to ongoing litigation in water court currently, I'm going to advise the board not to discuss the specifics of that water right and its development in this discussion. But hopefully this introduction gives some context to the community and anchors the discussion and hopefully some facts around what Nederland Reservoir is and isn't and the goals that we've been discussing as a board to help fortify the town's water rights. That's all I had, Mayor Billy. I'll kick it back to you, but appreciate the opportunity to sort of set that out as we begin here.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. And so the town staff and our consultants, water attorneys and water engineers have worked with the board, previous and present, to consider the value of our upstream storage so we can protect our water supply against drought, which we can expect more of with climate change, or at least we better prepare for with the prospect of climate change, with reality of climate change. With the development of that conditioned water right and upstream storage, that would also allow us to own and control our storage. And this ownership and control is advantageous and provides a lot of benefits depending on the configuration of the construction of the Nederland Reservoir. If it's isolated from the stream or alternatively developed off channel, the reservoir would protect the water supplies against water quality incursions like they had at the Pooter with post wildfire runoff or mine contamination. So, you know, this is a top priority for this board. Let's see. We do, you know, I'll just say, I mean, the term Nederland Reservoir brings to mind a big reservoir with a big dam, and I hear and empathize with folks that that is scary and ugly and implies big construction and big impact and messing up the ecosystem I want to just acknowledge that is you know, not, you know, it's upsetting people, and so that's real, and you deserve to be upset. And at the same time, our goal is to do whatever we do, you know, with as little environmental impact as possible, and make good decisions that take in all of the importance and the ideals and the values of environmentalism with our reality and our practicality of the fact that we have to provide water to this community now and into the future, and we'd be irresponsible and negligent to take that lightly. And so we have to find that balance so that we can actually provide for this community. It's not development oriented, which I read at the end of an article yesterday. At the same time, it allows for and makes possible development. It's really just about stabilizing what we already have and making sure we have the water to count on now and into the future. And as the town evolves in whatever ways it does, you know, water is got to come first. You know, nothing else really can happen without water, securing our water. So we want to, you know, our goal is to continue to be an example on how we do these things and navigate this as environmentally friendly and sustainable and at least impactful as possible. So years ago, some folks came to us, save our Colorado, save the Colorado River, save the Pooter, and I think some other folks affiliated with them, and talked to us about the, you know, the value of this rights of nature resolution, and we just make a statement of our commitment to our environmental impact, our environmental principles. And this was really set up to be an information conduit, so we can, you know, we have our guardians now, which I was part of appointing, and I feel like we picked two good people, and they're doing a great job, and they're giving us real information that we have to understand things that may or may not affect us in this watershed or just in our general environment around us. And that's been really, that part of it's been working well. And it helps us with our decision making. And then what seems to have happened, what's happened lately is that same organization that brought that to us then kind of with one hand, you know, gave us this environmental street cred, you know, with our rights in nature, and with the other hand came to oppose us. And you know, I read about back in January an article about Save Our Waters, Rivers, and, you know, talked about rights of nature and how it got shot down in Florida by conservative legislatures and shot down in Ohio. And, you know, they were going to take a softer approach here in Colorado. Well, so far they've got 4 statements of opposition active right now, and they're all tethered in watersheds, either directly adjacent to or pretty close to towns that have agreed to rights of nature resolutions. Right now, those towns are Nederland, Lyons, Grand Lake, and Ridgeway. Grand Lake, there's a project near there that they're opposing. Lyons, there's a project above Lyons up to St. Vrain that they're opposing, and 2 projects on the middle Boulder Creek, Eldora ski area, as well as ours. So it just seemed like quite a bait and switch to see this as being a big plus for the town, and then turn around and use this against us, and kind of as their credibility to do this in other places too. So these are listed in the aim, those things I just talked about. So it just seems like a bad relationship, and bad relationships should be ended. And so my take on it is the Save Our World's Rivers has become more of a liability than an ally. And the rights and nature resolution seems inert enough in its own way. It's like a great statement. It's a wonderful thing. But in the eyes of the water court, in the eyes of the state, in the eyes of the people who really know, Save Our World's Rivers is a liability, and being tethered to them through the rights and nature resolution isn't helping us at all. And so, one thing directly they're causing is confusion, controversy on this. And since I talked to Gary a couple times and talked to him first, we had a concern this would happen, and we talked to him about Eldora, asked him to withdraw his opposition to theirs. He said no. And then he said, we expect you're going to oppose our water rights. He said, well, we're undecided. Miranda and I and Andrew Bliss took that to mean yes. And sure enough, a week later, he put in a statement of opposition. I talked with him a few days later. He said no. I asked him if he'd be willing to withdraw it. And I said to him at both meetings, repealing this rights of nature would only happen in tandem with your statement of opposition to our water rights application. And I think I know he was clear on that, and went ahead anyways. And I asked him to withdraw, and he isn't going to, which at least hasn't to date, which didn't surprise me. And it just shows that really what he's doing is obstructing us and costing us money and causing confusion, and literally money, ratepayers' money now. It's our town ratepayers' money is going towards paying extra money towards this litigation and slowing down our process and possibly putting our application at risk, which means our water security at risk, and versus that money going towards just the basic water and sewer infrastructure needs that are already on our to-do list. So that is why I'm very much for a repeal of all three of these resolutions. And that being said, if we decide to repeal it, that doesn't lessen our commitment to considering and protecting our environment. And we believe that our Sustainability Advisory Board can continue to play a critical role. And, I did talk to one of our guardians, and, we feel like that process would continue. I prefer that we recreated it ourselves and gave it a different name, but still had that conduit of information, people, in our community that are looking out for us, and giving us good information so we can make the best decisions with as much information as possible. So, it's just about bringing local, this outside influence is not helping us. And so we need to bring our local decision-making and our local control about our water back home to us. So that's my aim. Any clarifying questions? Can someone let that guy in outside? Thanks. Any clarifying questions?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you for your great introduction. I feel like you've said it all and said it very well.
Thanks, Tanya.
Agreed. And also thanks to Aaron for a little more background. I also think we could refer to something the town of Lyons did, which pretty much sums up what you just said, of create their own statement about rights of nature.
Yeah, well, the town of Lyons actually, they approved the rights of nature resolution, so they kind of drank the Kool-Aid that we drink. I mean, I think they watered it down a little more, but they're just some steps behind us, basically.
I think, I don't know, unless I misunderstand, that there was some public comment where they sent a link to something that they adopted, which they called rights of nature like, so that they could achieve the goals of the rights of nature without some of the problems.
Okay, cool. I apologize.
Yeah, they said they looked to us to figure this out for themselves, that we're good. That's the word I'm looking for here.
Example.
Idle.
Oh.
Yeah. They don't, he didn't say those words, so don't quote me on that. But
okay.
Yeah, I kind of want to disagree. I feel like the letter he wrote was in opposition to our repealing and
It,
told us
it was.
to stand strong and that it'll all work out in the end. But nonetheless, I mean, I appreciate all the communities who are supporting our rivers and, of course, the wonderful forests that we live in. And I don't think this is going to change anything for us. And I agree with Billy that eventually, when we are not bogged down with other things, we should create our own rights to nature that isn't affiliated with anybody else but ourselves.
Thanks, Tanya. More clarifying questions? If not, we'll go ahead and open up for public comment. Let's start in the room. Kayla.
Kayla Evans, 1250 Eldora Road. I am here representing the Evans family. We've dealt with you quite a bit. I'm also here to support the reversing the resolution. I'll remember when corporations have rights, that didn't turn out so well. You can give an inanimate object a right, but unless it's managed by human beings that know what the heck they're talking about, it's not a good thing. So to let you know a little bit of history, the Nederland Reservoir, as it looks on the map, that was something that happened in the early 80s. And it's a piece of paper, it was a deed that my mom had done. Unfortunately, she passed in 93. I can't ask her what she did. But the process of dealing with the town's water attorneys, dealing with past boards, with current boards, is something that we look forward to. We are in certainly a negotiating period with the town of Nederland for storage in a place that is good for the environment, good for the town. This is something that I personally have been working on for over 10 years also, to make sure that the town has water. Without water, you have no life. And you can't make all those little children grow. So there were a lot of emails floating around today with a lot of misinformation, and I would just like to let people know that this gentleman right here, myself, the town, before you start posting a lot of crap on the internet, please be informed a little bit more, because all it does is crap attracts other crap. And then pretty soon you just have a big pile of shit. So in that vein, I would like to thank the board for your diligence in this process. It's going to be an interesting process, but I think the goal is to bring good water, safe water, environmental water. There isn't anybody that cares as much or as more about the environment as my family. Obviously, that's why we put the conservation easement on our ranch. So we're hoping to make the dealing with the town's water attorney and Boulder County Watershed. We've been working with them a lot. And again, I would hope that a lot of that can be shoveled out stops being floated around, and that the fears that a lot of people have in the community are unfounded. Go to the source. Don't go to the internet to find out what's going on. So we're willing and wanting to work, and are in the process of working with your town's attorney on the water. And there you go. That's it from the Evans family. Mic drop. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kayla. Appreciate it. Any other comments from folks in the room on Jonathan?
I have my hand up.
Yeah, we will come online next. Thank you. We're just doing folks in the room first. We try and do it in sequence.
Jonathan Baumhover, 399 West 3rd Street, former BOT member and a BOT member who voted yes when this resolution was passed, because I do believe that it is important to signify our commitment to protecting our watershed, as well as the biodiversity of that watershed for future generations. With that said, I do not necessarily think that repealing this in any way helps Nederland's commitment nor drive to address its water rights issue in the future. I believe this is more of an issue of The fact that this organization approached us as a town, asked for our partnership, asked us to sign on to its agendas and to support its agendas, and we did as a willing partner. Now, this organization, when we have been a willing partner, has turned around and added barriers to our town and our government's ability to provide necessary needs for its community. While repealing this act might be a tit for tat of, hey, this isn't a good partnership, and that was kind of low and disingenuous on the part of this board might also consider the fact that this individual has claimed that the desire to develop a future necessity for the town is a desire to grow fast and now, as he stated in the Colorado Sun. This is also being misrepresented as a desire for the town of Nederland to grow. Being that this is a worldwide national organization, which is currently using, I would say, virtue signaling environmental dogma to further its agenda at the cost of communities that actually seek to develop sustainable and renewable resources continuing into the future for its community, would be an opportunity for this town to take a leadership stance. Call him out. Continue with the resolution of the river, but call him out as a partnering town that you are a community on the watershed that should be seen as an integral part of that watershed. How are human beings not a part of the environment we exist in? So while I support the move to repeal this because it is absurd that a large organization is coming at a disadvantaged town for its own public publicity. You named us, Lyons, Granby, and Rockwell. We're all small towns that are disadvantaged. I haven't seen them oppose larger projects that are happening up in Larimer County right now that are far more acre feet. So to a certain extent, you could just repeal this as a tit for tat, or you could really come right back at him on a political level and on a marketing level, bring the discussion into the forefront on a national level. Does he actually want to support watersheds? We need this information. We need outside support and information on the health of the watershed in order for this town to develop this. He could still be an asset. The organization could still be an asset. Challenge him. Come back and say, that was bad partnership. We'd like to see you partner. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jonathan. More public comment from folks in the room?
Hey, everybody. My name is Alex Ruaco. I live down the street off Boulder Canyon Drive in town. Been reading up a lot on this issue more recently, so apologize if I'm wrong on anything, but I really was just coming up here to ask for clarification on something. You said it yourself, Billy, that the guardians you elected, you fully support. They seem to have provided a net benefit, and everybody here seems committed to supporting the environment and conserving the environment. All of that sort of seems consistent with the original intent of the rights of nature resolutions. So I suppose what I'm wondering, hearing all of this, and I appreciate all the information Aaron gave us, is would repealing it in any way guarantee that the contentious relationship with Save the World's Rivers goes away? You know, as we just heard, maybe calling them out on some of their bad behavior that has been alleged today would be more beneficial, while maintaining the already past commitment that this town has to conserving the environment. Thank you.
You know, and I regret not asking Jonathan this, but when you say calling them out, I didn't catch your name. Alex.
Excuse me.
And I'll contact Jonathan about this too. But when you say calling them out, do you have specifics? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No,
I should put Jonathan on the spot because he probably would have had a list.
That's fair. Sounded good when he said it.
No,
I suppose I am more thinking about, you know, it seems like the rights of nature resolutions in no way allowed them to file the oppositions they allowed. I know you pointed out there may be a correlation between towns they've partnered with and places where they've filed oppositions. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's mere correlation or if they're filing these oppositions everywhere. Seems like they started as a Colorado organization. You said it was Save the Pooter, Save the Colorado. Now they're Save the World's Rivers. So maybe it's just a local effect. But it seems like if we repeal the rights of nature resolutions and, you know, go back on these guardians that were just elected that seem to be helpful, and then are in the same exact situation where they continue to file oppositions, maybe with a little bit more bad blood, we haven't really done anything productive.
That was good clarification. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you.
Any more public comments from folks in the room?
Hello again, Brad LaChance, 23922 Peak to Peak Highway, member of Sustainable Advisory Board. I've spoken to Miranda about these issues. I've reviewed some documents that she sent my way. I thank her for those. I understand the urgency of the matter, and I have spent a good amount of thought on this. I guess just to frame this a little bit more, my background, I have an undergraduate, although I work in renewables now, I have an undergraduate degree in environmental engineering, and my wife is a climate scientist. And then for further framing, it is her opinion, as somebody who operates climate models, that there's not any certainty how much water will fall into our watershed in the future, either more or less as a result of climate change. So just to frame that there would be uncertainty going into the future, and then that uncertainty is this project would be a hedge against uncertainty. So I think that the resilience of this community is really dependent on projects like this that hedge against uncertainty. And I think that these projects are valuable in maintaining what is an existential need for the town, but also an existential need for what we're framing as nature in this conversation. But as previous commenters have suggested, there is perhaps an ambiguous distinction between the town and nature. I think that the optics on rescinding rights of nature are poor at best. That said, I don't think that, I mean, personally, I'm not a lawyer, so there are legal nuances to this, and as trustees, you have fiscal responsibility to understanding the monetary implications of bringing this to water court or other judicial pathways. So given that there, so I'll table that. I think that the intention of the rights of nature is for it to be a legally binding resolution, and that if it were not in itself a legally binding resolution, then you would need voluntary participation from community members to bring concerns forward. I think that rights of nature should be a check against the system. And on the other hand, I don't think that we're necessarily married to this. I think that my personal opinion as a member of SAB is that rescindment should not proceed without specifically 3 things in place: a new drafting deadline, a responsible party for drafting that, and a conversation with our legal counterparts to understand what would be palatable to the fiscal risk of the town while still maintaining a legally binding version of rights of nature.
Thanks.
If I had more time, I might share more.
Okay. Thank you. More comments from folks in the room? If not, we'll move to folks online. I see a hand up. Is that Melody? Melody?
Melody Baumhover, Nederland resident. I am a Sustainability Advisory Board member. I am speaking just as myself as a resident tonight. I appreciate you guys bringing the attorney here to share some of that background information. I think that's really helpful to the public. For me, that is not any new information. I do support Nederland pursuing their due diligence application. I'm not going to speak on any particular water storage option. This is about nature. I think it's a reactionary decision to repeal rights of nature, especially when it's not noted at all in the objection that was filed. And I think we're opening ourselves up to another referendum on this decision to repeal these. Repealing them because you don't like one organization dismisses the voice of the SAB and the citizens that supported the original resolutions. And I don't think a personal conversation with Gary is a reason to dismiss the time and effort that SAB put into these resolutions. I think we need to stand up to this organization, keep rights of nature in effect, and show them that we are, in fact, developing sustainably, as we say. We did have the lawyers look over the resolutions before we passed them. I think it's only fair to bring this idea of a repeal and the lawyers' concerns to the SAB to get a board recommendation from us before you make this decision. I know myself and at least two others, I wasn't able to speak to the whole board on such short notice, are opposed to the decision to repeal. And because I see in the aim that the legal risk mentions are just the impact of a future decision on this Nederland reservoir and not the current application, I don't understand the haste to repeal it tonight without getting SAB input. So the Nederland definition of sustainability is the conscious lens through which to view all issues. It is the answer to a society that is using up its finite resources by structuring conditions under which humans and nature exist in productive harmony. Nederland's sustainability model is based on the understanding that the economy and social fabric are concentrically nested within the restraints of the larger environmental system and are limited by the carrying capacity of the natural environment. With proper planning and forethought, sustainable practices actively support opportunities for localized economy, independent and self-reliant community, small town resiliency, also while demonstrating how people can voluntarily work together within the mountain community to obtain a more harmonious existence with our ecosystem. And how do we facilitate sustainability? It's a civic philosophy whose time has come to move into civic policy. We can achieve sustainability by aligning our built environment and socioeconomic activities with the constraints of natural systems that support life now and in the future. Moving towards sustainability requires a shift in consciousness to one of regional and global awareness and may demand innovative methods of living beyond small behavior changes and product development. Therefore, achieving sustainability requires a coordinated approach for action-oriented planning and periodic review of quantifiable indicators that involves community participation. Success depends on widespread understanding of the critical relationship between people and the environment and the decision to face our town lifestyle choices and ethics which compel change. That is the definition as adopted by the Nederland Sustainability Board. Just some excerpts of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Melody. Mandy?
I don't know if you want to go in order by hand.
Okay, let's go in order.
So Ron would be next.
Ron, go ahead, please.
I think that the water rights for Nederland far into the future, 50 to 100 years, are dependent on what happens with the repeal of this resolution. I highly support the repeal of it so that the route that we take to preserving our water rights and storing them are paramount and easier than having to deal with adversity along the way, which apparently has occurred. Therefore, I think the repeal is a must. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Bonnie?
Bonnie? Bonnie, go ahead. We can't hear you right now. Maybe hit *6.
And I think she's on her computer. There she is.
I forgot myself.
Okay, there you
So
go.
Board of Trustees. I am a resident of Nederland at 350 Lakeview Drive. I am the executive director of the local Our Sacred Earth. I speak from both places. I refer to the letter I sent included in your packet. Please consider that it is possible to uphold the resolution and meet Nederland's water needs in your planning. My understanding is that this kind of resolution isn't legally binding, but rather is a source of guidance. I hear your concern and fear nature resolution may be used in ways antithetical to what you seek to. Can you allow discussion standing up for Nederland and find solutions that are win-win? Can you allow the of nature resolution to contribute to the process? What is valuable along with something undesirable in the relationship you referred to. I suggest using the both this and that principle to include both the resolution and your plans. Quote, Nederland Rights of Nature for the Boulder Creek Watershed Resolution established Nederland. Why step down from this model? This move of the rights of nature is being celebrated. First time people have been appointed legal guardians in the United States. Allow these on this proposed dam construction and nature impacted as well. Please read all of my reasons. I ask that the Nederland right be fully respected, upheld, and that the repeal of the actually be rejected. I also understand your ire at a relationship that is not being supportive to Nederland on the part of Gary and the Save the Rivers. And I really support the idea of standing up for Nederland, standing up for the good work that is being done in, outlining this project. And I appreciate how much I've learned already this evening being in this meeting. So thank you all.
Thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate it.
Grant Wilson.
Grant?
Hi, can you hear and see me okay? I think so. Hi, my name is Grant Wilson. I'm the Executive Director of Earth Law Center, and I'm a former Boulder County resident and member of Boulder Rights of Nature, and had the great pleasure of presenting on Rights of Nature in your library about 3 years ago, and we had a great turnout there. And I'm an attorney and have worked on rights of nature all over the world from a mostly objective perspective. I just want to reflect from my experience worldwide that what you created in Nederland is something really special on the rights and voice of nature. And there's a lot of ways you can do rights of nature resolutions and other instruments. But what you did is really commit to listening to what the watershed and the creek has to say. You gave it a voice through legal guardians, just like a child might have a guardian, and to ask what it wants, which is something really special. And we just heard you were the first town in the United States to do this, the very first. And, it really signifies that Nederland is willing to try new approaches to protect nature, understanding that the current approaches are not totally working. And I understand the timing with the reservoir and the dam, but I also, understand that this is a non-binding resolution that does not interfere with your water rights or infrastructure plans in any way, aside from listening to the voice of the watershed. And, looking at the text of the resolution, it's written in this kind of friendly, non-confrontational way. It's procedural. It's not a Trojan horse. And, I understand that the motivation for a possible repeal is a relationship with one person. But I do want to emphasize that it's not just one person behind this initiative and movement. It's the many people of Nederland who are speaking out. It's the dozens of groups in Boulder County. It's millions of youth across the world who come to me regularly because this movement, this idea of giving nature a voice and treating it as more than just a thing, gives them hope for the future of the planet. And this is something that's bubbling up all over the world in dozens of countries. And Netherlands' contribution to this global chorus of governments and people who are giving nature a voice is something really special, and that I have personally spoken on to dozens of institutions and schools and conferences, and people applaud and are excited about and want to replicate. And so, to me, to undo it just 4 months after it started is not just removing the program, but really is removing hope, especially for youth. And so, I do encourage you to reconsider and at least think about doing a full community session on the rights and voices of nature, and invite local youth especially, and see what they have to say, and make it a deeper discussion before you react to this one particular issue. And if you do that, I'd be glad to come out and provide any legal expertise that might be helpful. And regardless of how it goes, I wish the town the best of luck in your relationship with the watershed. Thank you.
Thanks, Grant. You're calling in from Durango, right?
That's right. I'm in Durango, Colorado. Come on down sometime.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mandy?
Mandy.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I have some experience with the rights of nature, and I want to tell you a little bit about it.
Mandy, you ended
So,
muted.
Yep, I was trying to get somebody next to me to mute their machine, sorry. So yeah, I want to tell you a little bit about this. So I used to live in Lafayette, and I was one of 5 people who organized the town of Lafayette to pass a citizens-led initiative for rights of nature to ban fracking. And I will tell you, it was 3 long years of long days and nights working with the community to get this done. We actually went to the town and we asked them for years to figure out a way that they would basically pass a resolution themselves without having to do a citizens-led initiative. And they refused to do it because they were terrified of the oil and gas industry. So we finally put the initiative together. It passed by a 60% margin. And it was an incredible amount of work, very frustrating. Unfortunately, the state Supreme Court came in after 5 towns, including Lafayette, banned fracking and said that state law preempts local law, and the corporate oil and gas industry would have their way. And I understand what the tremendous amount of work that it means to pass a rights of nature resolution. And I want to commend you. I was so excited when you chose to just do it, and it didn't need to be a citizens-led initiative to have brought to you and have citizens fighting for it for years to get it passed. So I just want to say, I hope that you can find a way to be brave and keep our resolution. It may not be legally binding, but it is extremely important, and I don't think that you should back down from the work that you've already put into this. It's super important. I think the residents here of Nederland would overwhelmingly want to keep this resolution, because most of us who live here care deeply, deeply, deeply about our surrounding environment. I think, as you mentioned, if we want to protect our watershed from being poisoned by upstream mines, as well as protect our water from wildfire runoff. I think that still falls in line with protecting our watershed, and falls in line with rights of nature of protecting our creeks. So I'm going to urge you to keep this resolution for all those reasons. And I would love to talk to you more about if I can help with the experience that I had with rights of nature previously. I just think it's really, really important to keep it.
Thanks, Mandy.
Tegan.
Tegan?
Tegan Blakey, live off of Magnolia Road. To school in
Can
Netherlands.
we can't hear you very well. Can you say that again, Tegan?
Tegan Blakey, I live off of Magnolia Road. I went to school in Netherlands. I work part-time in Netherlands. I started this evening by reading through all the comments that you all received via email. And I just want to draw your attention to the one that was submitted by the Vice President of the Ecological Advisory Board from Lions. I think he offers a lot of valid expertise, and I would encourage you to take up his offer to reach out to him and talk to Lions about their decision, because they considered the same challenges you are now, and they went ahead anyway to pass the rights of nature. To the point that's been made already, the opposition that was filed in the water court by Save the World's Rivers did not mention anything about rights of nature or the guardians. As such, I think repealing it will have very little bearing on that filing of opposition. They are at the moment independent. The town of Nederland decided to pass this rights of nature, and it is yours. It does not belong to another organization at this point. And I would encourage you to stand behind that commitment that you made to consider the watershed when you passed that rights of nature. I think that if you go down the pathway of repealing this resolution, it will lead to substantially bad press for Nederland as far as Nederland's ecological and sustainability outlook. Also, as far as reservoirs being kind of hedging your bets against climate changes and unexpected events like wildfires. Reservoirs are extremely vulnerable to wildfires. Denver Water spent millions of dollars dredging out one of their reservoirs following a major fire. Under no terms consider a reservoir a guarantee against any effects from a wildfire. Also, I'd like to address the question of financial feasibility. As people have mentioned, it would be a shame to have the staff and town spend time and money on something where the end result will be negligible. Essentially, the question is, does the town have the finances to even make this reservoir feasible? And if not, maybe that's a question worth considering now before an enormous amount of time and effort is spent on it. So just in summary, in the comments that I read submitted to you all, 95% of people were writing to you to support retaining the rights of nature and guardians while looking for a way to also address Netherlands' water security issues. Thank you.
Thanks, Tegan. More public comments from folks online.
Hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead, Kathleen.
Kathleen Chipeye. Right. Sorry, Kathleen Chipeye. Where was everyone who's worried about the rights of nature when it came to the creek running down the side of Dryers that's about to have a massive building put in next to it? Is my first question. Secondly, the optics of repealing this may be bad, but that would be nothing new for Ned. And changing their minds wouldn't be anything new. We took until 2021 until 4 months ago to pass this. I'm concerned about how much time was spent, staff time with Miranda, time with Jen Madsen, negotiating this when they themselves are in the executive session regarding Netherlands water rights. And I just think that this needs to be repealed because I'm really concerned about the advice being given at the by Miranda Fisher and Jen Madsen. Also, I want to point out SAB is an unelected board of volunteers. I'm not sure if any of them have any degrees in giving advice to this nature, but I love nature. I'm living here. I love nature. Netherlands comp plan has always had a high regard for nature. And isn't it something that's probably what, it was Alan Apt, who was a BOT trustee who brought this to Netherlands. It looks like by passing this 4 months ago, when Alan was not on the board, that you shot yourselves in the foot when it comes to our water rights. Water rights are definitely more important. Netherlands just repealing this does not mean it's a free-for-all and attack the environment. Read our comp plan. Goodness. It protects nature. And isn't it interesting that no one else in the world ever signed on to this? Maybe that was a hint. Like, I wonder why no one else. I wonder why everyone else was trying to protect their water rights. I don't like how backstabbing seems to have gone down. I agree with Billy on that. However, it was this staff and this hired attorney who even put this on the agenda for people to vote on in Netherlands 4 months ago. I'm for a full repeal based on the fact that if you lose your water rights, basically going to dissolve the town in the unincorporated Netherlands. And for all the executive sessions on water rights and how the people were told everything's good, and you were intending to build a dam this whole while, it's just unbelievable. But we all knew this deal had gone down. We all knew about Kayla's family. And I'm supporting repealing this. Netherlands needs to preserve some water. And apparently the BOT at the time, 21, 22, 23, and 24 fell for virtue signaling for the environment. And our comp plan was real solid with protections for the environment. So,
Thanks,
and
Kathleen.
this is what happens with these public-private relationships that go sour.
Thanks, Kathleen. Appreciate it. More comments from folks online?
You got somebody in the audience?
Oh, I'm sorry, go for it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dean Rundle, 86 Sundance Circle. I wasn't going to comment on this because I haven't read the resolution and I didn't know about this, but I can tell you the most important thing that BOT has to do is water and sewer. And when I hear the word water rights, that is the most important thing you have to do, is to preserve your water rights. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. More comments from folks online?
May.
May?
Hi, I wasn't going to comment either, and I'll keep it brief. I did agree with Melody, and I thought she spoke very well. May Gerald, and I live in Netherlands, that we are nested in a larger environment. And I agree with Bonnie. I thought she spoke very well. What an amazing town we have. So many people here that have so much to offer, that if possible, salvage what is feasible from the plan, maybe incorporate it into the comp plan. And I'm like Dean, I didn't read the whole thing, but when I originally read the Rights of Nature resolution, maybe somebody can bring me up to speed really quickly. I thought there was an exclusion in there in the event that the town had a need like a water reservoir. So I would like clarification on that if somebody can give it. And otherwise, thank you.
Thanks, May. Other comments? Okay, with that, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion and possible or a motion. Yeah, like and discussion first. I will. I'm just going to throw this one out there. A motion to continue is an option. I've been pretty heated about this and angry and reactive, and I tend to be one that wants to go slow in these processes, but this one I haven't been wanting to go slow on. So I just want to say that is an option. And I want to, I would like, I kick myself for not asking Jonathan to get deeper into calling them out. Because I definitely want Save Our World's Rivers to get some negative, you just make it clear who they are, that they're self-serving, and I don't trust Gary Walkner, and I want to make sure that we make a good decision, though, based on my reaction. So that's just an option. We can also move to repeal or not repeal.
I'll start off here. Yeah, I'll start off since, if you look at the Rights of Nature Declaration that we passed in 2011, it's my name that's on it, signed it. So obviously I have strong feelings about this. It was definitely one of those things that was sold to us as a non-binding, good faith statement of the town's values. We took it as that, and it's very frustrating to see it being now used against us. And I think it's clear that it is being used against us. So, I totally understand your feelings towards Save the World's Rivers. And I think this should be something that is taken as a lesson for any community that has not yet adopted the rights of nature as pushed by that organization, that they should be very careful about moving forward with that. That said, I think that we were very careful in how we wrote it to try and mitigate any possible concerns with our own rights. But like a number of people said here tonight, there is nothing more important that we do than watching for our water rights. And if this has any possible effect on that, then we repeal. So as much as I hate to do it, that's where I come down, is if there is even the slightest chance that this can affect our water rights, then we should repeal it. Let's go back then and try and find a better way to use the resources of our guardians to protect it, because I don't think repealing it isn't going to change our views towards our responsibility toward the environment.
Thank you. And thanks for bringing up guardians. Something I didn't say earlier was like, when I first talked to Gary Walkner, he said he was undecided. And then he filed the statement of opposition. Then I talked to him again. He said he wasn't going to pull it. Then I talked to one of our guardians, Alan Apt, and let him know all the stuff that was happening, and we were likely going to go for repeal. And Alan called Gary, and then Gary contacted us and told us that regarding this statement of opposition, that we shouldn't talk to Alan, our own guardian, and about this. That if we wanted to talk about it, it was talk to him directly. And
just to make sure that came through, Billy, because your voice may be skipped. Gary told us not to talk to Alan.
Yes, he goes, regarding the statement of opposition, do not talk to Alan, talk to me. And really,
Right.
I mean, how can I not take that? How can we not take that as, don't talk to your guardians that live in the community, and we are all free to speak to each other, and that supposedly are the conduit for communication in all directions. Well, I'm glad I'm saying it now. So, more comments?
I mean, my personal opinion on this is that I'm so new to the BOT and just got kind of thrown into it, as you do. And I personally don't feel like I have enough information either way. I need to take my own time and look into this further so I can make the right decision, because I'm truly all about finding middle ground with everybody. I want to find middle ground. I feel like in this world that we're currently living in, no, there's no middle ground. It's either my way or your way. Like that's just how it is. But I'd second a motion to continuation, just so I can catch up.
I didn't make the motion. I just threw out the idea. But okay, that's good to know that that's where that's where you lean towards a motion to continue.
I have a lot of feelings about this.
Actually,
wants to go?
I have a motion I have to make that's nothing to do with water, just time. We need to extend the meeting.
Make a motion to extend to 10:30?
Yes, I second. Lacey?
Mayor Billy?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Reluctantly.
Reluctantly, which?
Trustee Corvalon? Voting on the
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sterling?
Yes.
Trustee Maris?
Yes.
And Trustee Larson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Go ahead. Sorry, Luke. You have time now.
I was about to say, I have a lot to say about this, but I want to keep it brief because I don't want to go over. So I think mine's just really loud or something. Check, check, check. Maybe that sounds better.
How's that sound out there, Nicole?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay. So, you know, personally, I have extremely strong commitment to the rights of nature and the environment and protection of watersheds. It's a huge part of what I think is really important. And it is super impressive that we passed this and made it an important part of our community. I find it heartbreaking and frustrating that organizations that are trying to do good for protecting watersheds and water rights around the world, right? Not water rights in a legal sense, but natural water rights, are leveraging these kinds of things to further an agenda which really undermines the communities that are trying to support them. And I've seen the actions of the people in Save Our World's Rivers posting on social media and in the media this past week about this topic, and clearly it has a lot more political motion in it than actual care for the environment. And so I would really love to see us come up with something that has just as much protection for water and natural rights of nature, that we can coexist with our essential town water rights. So I don't know that we need to repeal this necessarily, but I think a very close look at the wording and a very strong confrontation with Save the World's Rivers about their actions and how they're interacting with the communities that have expressed support for their agenda. So I'm not sure what the correct action is as far as repeal or don't repeal, but yeah, we can't keep this going.
Thanks, Luke.
I think Tanya was trying to speak. Tanya?
I can't hear you, Tanya. You're muted.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know. I hadn't offered to speak yet.
Oh.
Now,
Sorry.
well, I've been part of this thing since it came to us, Alan Apt, I believe. It's gone through a few incarnations. It always seemed like just kind of a sweet, nice thing. It is not legally binding. It never has been. And so I agree with all the callers who are keeping it because it's not legally binding. So in the end, it's just a nice thing. So, but at the same time, as Kathleen mentioned, we have our comp plan, we have our envision. I think within our comp plan that we're doing right now, we can have a whole chapter on this. We don't need to have this resolution. And I think, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to err on the side of caution. I don't want to use my idealism and my naivety with my disdain for reservoirs to potentially impede future water rights situations that might occur 10, 20 years from now, 5 years from now. I don't know when this might get built, might never happen, but we need to have the option on the table. And if this is, I'm not even sure that this resolution would stop us from doing what we need to do, but in the smallest chance that it could, I'm going to err on the side of caution with it and say repeal it. It's as everybody said, it's not binding. It's just a cute thing. Let's put that in our comp plan and make it even more real because it's in our comp plan. It's not just a resolution. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, Tanya.
All right. So there have been a few comments about challenging Gary Walkner. And I think the way that we challenge him the most is repealing this resolution. The misinformation that has come about has been really frustrating. Also, just to go back to what one of the speakers, public comments had said, I believe it was Tegan, that the filings did not mention rights of nature. You're 100% correct. And in fact, in the Climate News article that came out, quote, he, as in Gary, said that his role at Save the World's Rivers is distinct from his rights of nature advocacy. However, anybody who cares to venture out and look at Save the Rivers blog posts, I took screenshots, so they cannot change the language, but it explicitly says we, as in we Save the World's Rivers, are the ones that went in and supported the rights of nature. So there is no distinction. And this false misinformation that he's been pushing out there that no, they're distinct and no, my advocacy is different, that is not at all reflected in the blog post that he has pushed out. And again, I took screenshots, so that language cannot change. So the relationship is really mistrustful at this point. This reservoir is for stability and self-sustenance. Over nearly 2 years, we have been working on this. 2 years. I agree with Tanya. I agree with May. I say we put this into the comp plan and we repeal this rights of nature because that will hold this person to the utmost accountability. And I'm okay with the repercussions of what comes of that. But I do want this to be codified, or at least to be put into our rights of nature so that we can find ways to continue its purpose and its intent. And the question of, does the town have the finances? For those of you who've been, focusing and seeing our strategic goals, if it's on the goals and it's something that we want to do, we find a way to do it. That's all I have to say, Mayor Billy.
Thanks, Nicole. Tierney.
As the
Fresh perspective is needed.
newest trustee,
You
know,
might
I
need to
think-
get a little closer.
Yeah.
If it echoes, then you're
Then
right.
Oh, then I'm right. Okay, perfect. I'll look for the echo. you know, as the newest trustee, I came into this meeting trying to be as prepared as I could, but I also haven't been in the executive meetings that have discussed water rights at all. So like Trustee Ty, I feel like I would have to have more time to really assess and take time to talk. I think, you know, bringing in, talking to SAB, talking to Lions, I understand where commenters are coming from because they're coming from where I'm coming from, right? From kind of a fresh, like just hearing tonight and looking at what you sent out as the agenda. And I'm not sure I fully understand how this rights of nature resolution could impact our water rights. Like that's the key question. And I'm not sure if I see it. It sounds like if there's a slim chance that it could, let's just repeal it. And I understand that perspective too, and I agree, but I don't know what that slim chance is. And I would like to know what that slim chance is. So I think for me, I would either move to continue, but I also know you all have been working on this for a long time and have been talking and in these meetings and know a lot more than I do at this point. So I don't know if I would abstain from a vote because I don't have that information. That's kind of where I'm coming from. Yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to throw in one more minor comment just to kind of piggyback on what Nicole just was saying, that, I mean, if we are going to repeal this, like, let's make it clear that we are repealing it specifically because of their choices and misinformation, like not because we don't support rights of nature. Like this is not.
Yeah. Should be a repeal with a press release.
Yeah. I mean, we should make it abundantly clear. Like the concept is something we wholeheartedly support. And, you know, if they hadn't pushed back in this way, and additionally, you know, after Billy talked to him in person twice to, you know, get clarity about this, and that he continued to go online and post a bunch of stuff about how we were going to build a giant dam. You know, it's just really that's kind of what pushed the ball over the edge.
Yeah. And, you know, going back to Tyranny, what you had said is like, what is that slight chance at this point? You know, I could probably confidently say we don't know. And that's the worry of what's been coming out from this group. And, you know, just kind of going back to what Chris said, if there is any slight chance, and Tanya, I believe you said this as well, if there's any slight chance that this impedes our water rights, I don't care. Against it, repeal. And because that's not, again, after, you know, almost 2 years of just even myself being involved in this, that's not a risk I'm willing to take 100% off the table.
I'm totally with you guys. Like, I mean, it's kind of killing me because you guys have worked on this. Chris, you signed it. Luke's obviously done his due diligence. Nicole's done her due diligence and looking at this. And so, you know, we're on the board together. So I need to trust that you guys, and I do trust that you guys are all doing your due diligence. So, I mean, I'm going multiple ways in my head right now.
So I'm going to put some things out there just for information. In 2021, the rights of nature resolution was passed. It's not like it's been hanging over us for years. The Guardians was a step that was to be taken, and it came in front of us a year or more ago. Well, not quite a year ago. And I took a long time, so it's on me. A lot of it was just being busy, and the other was like, I'm going to make sure I water down and really edit this thing, and work with Aaron and Jennifer, our lawyers, so that the rights of nature Guardian resolution, not watering it down to take away, was good out of it, but killing its legal teeth, so that we were sure we weren't legally bound by a rogue guardian. And so it's been, you know, it's been a long process if you look at the whole thing, but it's been broken up in pieces. So, and then this whole repeal is brand new, you know. You're welcome. And so I will say one thing. I lean towards wanting us to continue now, mostly to check my reactivity, our reactivity, and make sure. Just look at this from some other angles. So, but I would say, Aaron, and ask you a question. What Nicole just said about any slight legal risk about it messing with our water rights, would a month matter? Would 2 weeks matter if we put it to 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now? Is that risky?
No.
Okay. With that, I move to continue. So,
I just
yeah, no, more discussion, but
I'd throw a note that even if there's no legal teeth to it, the delay in litigation, like when they file a statement of opposition, we have to deal with that, and if that just goes on and on, we deal with cost and time to just, even if there is no actual legal teeth in it, that doesn't stop them from pushing back.
No,
And whether or not we repeal it or not, they still push back. But I'm just saying, like, it doesn't help us.
what doesn't?
I mean, if we keep it and they continue to fight us in water court, having this rights of nature doesn't help us in water court, regardless of its legality.
Right. And I think I agree with that. And like Save Our World's Rivers is doing the statement of opposition. They're not going to pull it whether we repeal it or not. Repealing it and threatening to repeal it has at least got them out lying more actively. So we know we've got their attention. And so I'm wondering if I'm just wondering about the value of thinking through this more now. Kind of mad at myself. But again, it would just be emotion. So see how you vote. But they're going to they're doing the statement of opposition.
Why would you want to continue it? Just to continue the conversation?
Yeah,
So
I mean,
bring this to another meeting and do this again?
Oh boy, yeah, that's a good
Is
point.
that what you're saying?
But it's more like taking a different tactic to go after. They're not going to pull this thing presently.
No, I know that.
If we repeal tonight or not.
Got to us in
But
the
if we
first
go
place.
at a different way of, frankly, discrediting them out and about, will they then pull it? Because the only thing that would help us financially will be them pulling it. And the thing is, I don't trust that guy no matter what we do. So.
Well, they're not going to pull it.
No.
And the cost is going to be there to fight them on this, no matter what their statement of opposition. We have to fight in court, until they pull it or they're pleased with our response.
And I think just to be clear, the opposition doesn't mention the rights of nature at all. I think Nicole confirmed that as well. So it in no way is mentioned in the opposition. At least that was my understanding when I went through the documents.
That is correct. However, in other blog posts or whatnot, they have clearly insinuated that Save the Waters is advocating, supporting, pushing rights of nature. So, even though they don't state it explicitly in the opposition letters, it is clear from the blog posts.
Yeah, and just to clarify, a statement of opposition is sort of an opening statement of position that's not limiting in some way to what future arguments they could make in court. And so having this out there could lead to additional arguments down the road that they just haven't made yet. But that doesn't mean that they won't make.
In our first conversation, he talked about future litigation. So he's basically promised future litigation, or, he already spoke about, even before he said he was decided on the statement of opposition, he spoke about future litigation.
So if we continue, that leaves a window open where they can file future litigation while citing our rights of nature as.
Okay.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-20, repealing Resolutions 2021-11, 2021-11A, and 2023-4 regarding the rights of Boulder Creek and the Boulder Creek watershed.
Second.
I second. There's a second. Any discussion? Go ahead. Please.
Mayor Billy,
Yes.
Trustee Maris. I've been convinced, and yes. Trustee Ty,
Yes.
Trustee Larson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sterling,
Yep.
Trustee Corvalon,
Yes.
and Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion passes, and we already have a press release written. We have to tidy it up a bit and make it clear with our actual vote because it needed to be written to go either way. I have already talked to one of the mayors, started to talk with one of the mayors who's of Lions, and I intend to talk to the other mayors who have passed rights of nature resolutions. Today in a meeting with a representative, Jonah Goose, and a whole slew of about 20 mayors, I brought this up and I said, do not drink this Kool-Aid. You'll regret it with rights of nature resolutions. So we're already starting to let folks know what this can become. So that is our intent. Thanks.
I also just want to mention really quick, because it was brought up before that this would potentially go to a referendum. This is a resolution for repeal. It's not an ordinance, and therefore it is not subject to referendum. I just want to mention that.
Good point. I meant to make that earlier. So yes, this is not subject to a referendum petition by registered electors of the town. Thank you.
So this, yep, this is a hard one.
It is. It is. Thank you for everyone's clarity. With that, I'd like to move on to our first discussion item of the evening. And if this is more controversial, I'm going to be shocked. It's the plastics and styrofoam ban ordinance discussion. Yes. And this one, and these are both time sensitive. This is because we wanted to roll this out with the state's law, and therefore we have to discuss it tonight to act in time for that. And then they are both, yes, and the second one is.
I can present things real quick.
Yeah.
So tonight before you is the plastic bag and polystyrene product ban. We've actually been talking about this quite a bit with SAB over the last year and a half, but we're a little premature. We thought we could bring this forward for a January adoption, but as you'll see in the AIM, municipalities aren't actually eligible until July. So we're bringing it forward to you now in hopes that you're adopting it. It's a discussion tonight with hopeful adoption next meeting, so it can go into effect July 1. Just kind of for context, you actually already have a plastic bag ban. It just never really got fully implemented. It's Ordinance 737, and that was adopted in 2015. Not here to speak to why it didn't happen. It's just unfortunately it was never really implemented well. And so this ordinance seeks to amend that ordinance. But what we're looking at is a ban of polystyrene, styrofoam products, as well as plastic bags. The current ordinance reads where there's a fee charge. So this is a full ban of both products. And then there's a fee for paper bags that go along with this. And what you'll read in the ordinance is that there is a recommendation that if you purchased those items before June 1st, we're of course you can continue to utilize them, but the point is to have businesses that utilize those products to start to transition away from them. And so really tonight, we're just asking you, do you have any questions, concerns, any information you want us to consider before we bring this back for hopeful adoption on May 21st?
Tanya, I have a question. What about those compostable plastic bags? Are those included in the ban, or are they not? You know what I'm talking about? They're
The farmer's market bags.
well, yeah, or your produce comes in. Yeah, you get them. I use them for like my compost. I know it's not a home ban, but I'm curious about that. If stores were giving those away, are those also in the ban?
So we say disposable bags means any plastic or paper bag other than reusable bags. I guess I wouldn't say our ordinance is overly clear in the definition. And so perhaps this is an area in which you want to provide feedback on. And that could be an exemption to the ordinance.
Or it could be another thing like a paper bag where it gets a 15-cent charge or whatever.
Or something just, non-biodegradable bags.
Okay. I think maybe we could do a little.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'd like to spend a little time researching how other municipalities handle that compostable plastic bag piece. So we can bring that back when we bring this forward to you again.
Thank you.
I think one thing I think that's great about this ordinance too is, as you see, the fee that is collected goes straight to education awareness. If we get enough, we'll buy some bags, but it's meant to go back into the community.
Okay, cool. That's good.
Who does the fee collection under the new ordinance?
I think we have the sustainability coordinator,
Okay, so it is still on us to
Yeah.
collect from the business.
and that works now because your sustainability coordinator is a part-time employee.
Yep.
Any more clarifying questions?
I didn't get all the way through this thing, but is there a penalty for businesses that continue to use plastic bags?
Yes, I have to get to it unless the attorney Ransom knows off the top of her head.
I know.
There's
yeah.
a penalty. It's a civil, it would be a civil infraction. So I don't know that there's I don't think there's a specific dollar amount.
So we have if payment of any amount is not received by the town before the due date, a penalty of 10% of the total due, an interest charge of 1.5% of unpaid balance. That's under section 7/154D.
That's what
And
I
then
haven't gotten there yet.
I was remembering 7/156 that it is a civil infraction, first or second violation shall be punished by a fine of $500.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Any more clarifying questions? If not, we'll go to public comment. Anyone in the room have comments on this ban?
Hello.
Just like we got one person in the
Yeah,
room.
Dean Rundle, 86 Sundance Circle. I don't care if you're banning plastic bags. Charging people for a paper bag that's completely recyclable with cardboard, economically recyclable, is just tax. Don't do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. Any more comments from folks in the room? Kathleen?
Yeah, Kathleen Chipai, Nederland business owner for 22 years. I'm completely against any of this nonsense. I read the aim and it's actually disingenuous because it says it was never enforced. So I know a number of businesses paid the money in. The money, where is the money going? Where did that money go? Because it was talked about in the aim as if it didn't even happen. There was monies collected from some of the businesses, not from me, because I'm not going to pay into an illegal tax that you've relabeled a fee. And the Independence Institute pointed that out to you back when you passed the original ag tax and called it a fee. So number two, my business, I use recycled plastic bags made in the USA. You're going to ban me? You're going to fine me for that? What the hell are we recycling for if it can't be in a bag? And secondly, every bag I get anywhere I go goes into my shop and gets passed out and reused. I don't care if it's paper, plastic, or what have you. And we've also learned recycling much of the things we're supposed to recycle costs more. So that's why they don't, like 80% of what we recycle, what we collect to recycle in Colorado doesn't get recycled. We don't have the capabilities to do so, and it's not financially important. It flows our money. I don't understand why this is necessary. Again, SAB is volunteers, unelected, with an idea because the state of Colorado decided to virtue signal about plastic bags. And I would like to suggest a tax on face masks. Okay, because that's what I'm finding littered all over the place, and those have plastic in them too. And that's what's
Just
coming
like,
up in
what
the
were those
ocean right
attacks on
now.
what? I didn't hear that. Oh, face mask. Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Face mask, made in China face mask. Okay, the bottom line, I will never pay this fee. This tax is being called a fee and marketed a fee again in Netherlands. I will never pay it. So whatever fine, I'm not paying a fine either, because where is this money going? It's supposed to go to either only educational materials or supplying the public with bags. Okay, and that's what, if it was a tax, it truly is. We don't get to just take our money and put it into the community or into the general fund. I'm making sales at my store. You know how this is for a business to make a sale, and there's a number of little items, and the person wants a bag. Of course they want a bag. Why do they have to pay for a bag? Against this, I think it's insanity. Another waste of time, town staff and town attorney, in my opinion. And you're just blowing taxpayer dollars while they're trying to collapse the American dollar on us. And they're doing a real good job with people like you, taking money from the residents.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Kathleen. Any other comments? Actually, I have to make a motion to extend because we have to get through this, and we have to allow time, or we want to allow time for public comment on non-agenda items. So I'm going to make a motion to extend 10 minutes to 10:40. I believe it.
Any second.
Thank you, Stacy.
Mayor Billy?
Yep. Yes.
Trustee Miller?
No.
Trustee Corvalon?
Yeah.
Trustee Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sterling?
Yes.
Thank you.
Trustee Maris?
Yes.
And Trustee Larson?
No.
Dude.
Does make a difference.
So the motion is approved.
Thank you. Any more public comments from folks online about this plastic ban? Okay, hearing none, let's bring it back to the motion or to the board for discussion and a not a 4.
I don't necessarily need a not a 4. I just need your feedback. And it sounds like I just have the 1 to make sure that we are being clear enough about compostable plastic bags.
Yeah, and maybe I'd call it biodegradable or something, something that's.
And it sounds like we need to make sure there's good enforcement for non-compliant businesses.
Got a laugh out of you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. With that, let's
See
go.
you in court.
Let's go to our next agenda or discussion item. Do you have what you need? I'm sorry.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay.
All right, next one, American Rescue Plan housing funds for title searches on town-owned property. The town has been working with a series of, kind of public-private development, nonprofit, for-profit, all of the above, as we look to maximize Prop 123 and develop housing in the town of Nederland. We got really far with one developer and looked at the property files, but unfortunately our physical property files are a bit limited in terms of what was there. And so we had looked at the property files, didn't see any documentation about any sort of conservation or restriction. And so we continued forward with the developer. Some planning commissioners who have historical knowledge said, hey, I really think there's actually some conservation easements on these parcels. And so worked alongside Attorney Madsen to pull some documentation, and if that person was in fact correct. And I think this is just one of those unfortunate situations where perhaps our property files are not as complete or as comprehensive as they need to be. And there is great value in completing title searches on all town-owned parcels. You could, of course, ask a developer to do it, but I think there's an opportunity of good faith if the town pays for these. And that way, when we enter into conversations about use of public land, we know what the restrictions are. So what I'm asking for you tonight is approval for no more than $6,000 of the ARPA funds set aside for housing to run title searches, which could range from 100 to 250 for all of the parcels listed on the map that I included with your AIM. So again, not to exceed 6,000, but seeking kind of that not a 4 to move forward with this so we can keep our negotiations and conversations with these housing developers going.
Any clarifying questions?
Is this, the properties that are listed, are these the only properties being considered for housing or the only ones that need title search?
They're the only ones that are vacant.
Well, because I'm, given our earlier decision and the uncertainty regarding the town shop site, should that one be included?
Yeah, so we actually already did that search because I had a little panic moment where I was like, someone run the documents on that, and we did not find anything. So I'm looking for approval to keep going. So kind of did make that decision quickly because I didn't want you to all to be in a weird situation where we found out later. So I'm asking to do all the rest at this point.
Thank you. Any more clarifying questions? If not, we'll go to public comment. Any public comment in the room on this? Money for just finding out title searches for our town and land? Online, any comments from folks on this?
I did have to mute Kathleen, so if Kathleen wants to speak, star 6.
With that, we'll bring it back to the trustees for a discussion and not a 4. I move to nod my head to say yes. Seconded my head.
I nod.
I don't know if you want to do for the people online, just a verbal call, just.
Yeah, not a 4. I'm nodding.
Yes, this is Tanya. I nod.
I nod.
And I think 5 nods in the room, so it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And then any public comment on non-agenda items? Dean?
Dean Rundle, 86 Sundance. I probably shot myself in the foot with the thing about the 15 cents for a paper bag.
Yeah.
Anyway, I sent y'all an email last week because I got an email from the county about the strategic fuels mitigation grants that they have. Apparently they have $2.4 million that municipalities are able to apply for. I'm not a long-term Nederland resident, but I was here in 2003 when the roof caved in from that St. Patrick's Day blizzard. So I live up in the Sunnyside Carline subdivision. I think those roads and sewer lines were pioneered in probably in the early 80s. Some of them very steep slopes. And we're getting a lot of regeneration of Ponderosa. That's a Ponderosa pine site, south facing slope. So there's a lot of trees coming up in the right of way that kind of create a fuel ladder going up the hills there. Several years ago, before the pandemic, I asked Chris Peltier if I could cut down all the saplings and stuff up to 6-8 inches that was growing on the town's right of way. And so I did that. He said I could. So I went on the town's right of way and cleared off the slope below my house. Some of these areas, and I'm not very good with computers, and but I got some little pictures here. I'll leave this town staff and you can show around. Some places the trees growing in the right of way are also a traffic hazard. If you come out of Sundance going West 6th, you got there's a yield sign, but you can't really see around the trees. And I just thought it might be an opportunity. This grant application closes June 6th that we could put in for maybe, I don't know, 12, 15,000 bucks to get some guys with chainsaws and a trailer up there to take all the stems off the town-owned land. If that would work, something the town might want to consider doing throughout the town. We got a lot of fuel. We have way too many trees on private land and in the right of ways. Pre-settlement, Ponderosa pine stem density was probably 20 stems per acre. It was a grass savanna with scattered trees. My neighborhood is scary because a lot of people have way too many stems on their property. And I know this grant wouldn't be for that, but it's something for you guys to think about.
Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it.
I think you could give a nod of 4 if you wanted to direct town staff to look into this.
I'm giving a nod. I want a nod that we're looking, especially since there's a deadline. Yeah.
I'm giving a nod too, but I have a comment that I would want some guidance as to where the money gets spent. There's probably, that's not that much money, and there might be places that are more necessary than others. And I think some of that money could be used when you hire the person to do the work, find somebody who's, has a master's in ecology, or somebody who knows about trees. That's my recommendation.
Okay.
Anyway, I am nodding. We should apply for this grant and then worry about that later.
Thanks. Yeah,
Agreed.
you'd emailed me. I think you'd emailed about this after Dean
Yeah, I
sent his comment
did.
and said we should just hire, or enlist someone with true forestry knowledge to help us make a decision.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you get all the nods you need? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Other business, I was just wanting to say that regarding the repeal of the rights of nature, that I definitely intend to reach out to SAB, and I think we did talk about the fact that we want to keep those initiatives going on our own, and whether we incorporate them into the comp plan or Vision 2030, or something more specific to and from SAB, and keep the work of Rich and Alan going with regards to just giving us information, feeding us information. I'd like to start making our plan for that, getting that going again. Keeping that going.
Really, I had some non-agenda public comments.
Oh,
quickly,
yeah, go ahead.
If I can.
Yeah, perfect time. I got 3 minutes
I'm
left.
Kathleen Chip. I apologize for the late email because I haven't had internet most of the day. But I want to call publicly, since I publicly called out Macy on my core request last meeting, I want to publicly apologize to her now that I have received email confirming that Miranda was the reason for the unlawful delay of my Cora. And just point out that I still have not received the information that I requested initially about 8 months ago, and then again on April 10th. So I want to apologize to Macy, and I want to thank Miranda for clarifying that it was not Macy at fault, but herself. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Sure.
If there's no more comments, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Assume you're ready for me. Mayor Billy?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Corvalon? Are you still with us? We'll move on to Trustee Ty.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sterling?
Yes.
Trustee Maris?
Yes.
And Trustee Larson?
Yes.
Okay, Trustee Corvalon, are you with us still?
You're muted, Tanya. I think we got the majority.
No worries.
Thank you.
That Trustee Corvalon was not present for this vote.
Thanks, everyone. Good work tonight.